stand on the edge of it all? Can you feel like a winner? We built it so high, we can't stand the fall. Inside each man there's a sinner. If we live for the hour, if we live for the next million years, down to the last man, we'll be fighting the beast inside. Down to the last man, down to the last man. It's alive in our hearts, it beats our pride. The beast inside.
Hey gals and guys, this is Michael Ferrari of Cinema to Meep. Welcome to the 48th bonus Patreon episode. Joining me again for this crazy adventure is Ara Alishan. Welcome back, Ara.
Hey, me. Thanks for having me back on, buddy.
Thank you for coming back. We're feeling in the Halloween mood and spirit today.
Yes, absolutely. It's just a few days away. We're cutting it close.
Just, yeah, very close. But that's kind of how we like it. It's been a long month of stuff for us. I know I've been busy with the kids. You know, you have too, I've noticed.
Yeah, it goes by way too fast.
Yeah, I love the fall, love autumn. It's just it's a blip really in terms of a season here at least.
Yeah.
Except for the first part of it, it was really warm, and then it got, I don't know, it's really super rainy like the past couple of weeks. I'm not enjoying a proper fall, and the past couple of days have been nice, so I feel like it's finally fall.
That's good. That's good. I hope it eventually starts feeling like fall around here too.
I mean, yeah, I the leaves are everywhere. I'm enjoying that. They're changing colors. They look great. It's beautiful. It's just this time of year always makes me kind of happy, and
Best.
it
Yeah.
makes me want to watch movies that are set around Halloween, and we've been doing a lot of that lately, watching those kinds of movies, and certainly that's our theme tonight with the Night of the Demons movies, because we want to just do something that's appropriate for the holiday, our favorite holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Angela is invited to our party today. As you can see, I'm wearing Angela on my shirt.
Yes.
She gave
Love
me
that.
an invite. I've been a fan of these movies for a long time now. Certainly the first, you'll see which ones exactly, but certainly the first movie for a long time, and so I guess I kind of almost took them for granted in a weird way. Back in the time, back when they came out, at least. There were a lot of horror movies in the 80s and a lot of like party movies, I feel like.
Yeah.
Now you don't get them anymore.
No, you really don't.
You get kind of self-serious. I don't know. The vibe is so different with horror these days that it's hard to even pinpoint exactly what has changed. But certainly you don't get a party movie like you used to back in the day. A movie that's just really about having a good time, being pretty silly, having lots of fun gore effects. And I think there's a new one that just came out called Terrifier 2. I didn't see Terrifier 1, but I know it's loaded with gore effects and stuff. But it's also 2.5 hours, and it doesn't sound like my thing. Too long. So I just kind of miss that era of like a 90-minute party movie, and the silliness that can derive from it, the comedy that comes out of it, the general vibe of like not taking it too seriously, having a good time, giving you all the shocks you want out of a movie like that, and the silly characters. And I just miss that. And you know, when you watch a new Halloween set movie these days, it tends to be, of course, the David Gordon Green trilogy, which we just concluded and we'll get to with our recently seen. I don't know. It's just the vibe is so different and not the vibe that I signed up for. As a
Yeah.
horror fan growing up in the 80s, not quite that. And there have been some good movies, and two of my favorite movies of this year are actually horror films. So we are actually, kind of in a what you would call a renaissance of horror. But a lot of it's not for me, and
Yeah.
but I'm glad a lot of it's hitting for a lot of people. So horror's back in a big way for a lot of people, and that's great. And I'm excited for that and what the possibility is of that. But I do tend to go back 30 plus years with these movies. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And I think you kind of described Night of the Demons perfectly as a party movie, because it really is a party movie. It's a movie that you could put on and with a crowd and
Mhm.
just have a really good time, and it's an actual party in the movie as well, of course, but
Right.
it's just a lot of fun. And I have my physical media collection kind of organized like a video store, like in genres, and they're all kind of like littered with horror and in different slots, just because if I didn't, the whole thing would be horror pretty much. So I actually have movies like Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Demons, like with my comedies, even though they are horror movies, just
Mhm.
because they are movies I will go to put a big smile on my face.
Sure. Yeah.
And I love that, and I miss that. I do think that's something that's harder to find these days. There's some gems out there, but you got to look a lot harder than you used to, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. That's the thing. There's a lot of stuff to go through. You go on these streaming
Right.
services, and there's like so much in
Yeah.
there. I'm like, I've never heard of this. I'm not going to take a chance on this because I haven't hadn't heard anything from anyone about these movies. So I'm not going to
Yeah.
waste 90 minutes or more, because movies tend to be longer, on these things that have absolutely heard nothing about. And there's a lot of them, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. So
Right.
and then you get movies that are recommended to you, and you watch them, and you're like, oh well, not
Well,
quite for me.
that's actually kind of a perfect segue to recently seen, just because
Mhm.
I feel like I'm pretty plugged in. Like I feel like I follow all the right pages on social media, and I'm always on the lookout for things that might appeal to me. And you posted something you were watching the other day that just totally I had never heard of it. I didn't know it existed, despite the fact that it was directed by a director that I love. And that is I believe it's called Seance.
Okay.
Um, and I was just so like kind of upset that I was like, how are there like, how is there so much content out there right now? And like the one or two directors that I actually am keeping an eye on and enjoy their stuff, like there's something coming out that I didn't even know was in the works. So I was kind of kicking myself over that, but I don't know. It's just too much to keep up with, honestly. And I mean, the list just keeps getting longer and longer. It feels, with the stuff I need to catch up on. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I have seen some recent movies, and we can get into
Yeah,
that.
let's hear it.
So I watched the new Hellraiser.
Okay. I was
Um,
curious about it, but not curious enough to watch it. So I want to hear what
right.
your take is.
Honestly, I didn't have Hulu up until like a few months ago when Prey came out. I think I told you that, and I finally was like, all right, fine. and I've been enjoying it. I use it more than I do some other streaming services, but still not a ton. I just don't
Right.
have a whole lot of time to commit to those
There's a
things.
good amount of access to TV shows on there, and I know my wife tends to watch a lot of TV shows, and the kids watch a lot of TV stuff. So
There
so
are.
we have Hulu as an option, and yeah, we tend to
I've
watch more TV
I've
on it.
actually gone through a few too, like newer, like Hulu exclusive shows too. So that's kind of worth something at least.
Mhm.
Now I probably wouldn't have watched the Hellraiser remake, just because I don't think I've even seen all those direct to video sequels. I
Me
know I've
either.
seen some like here and there growing up, but I couldn't tell you which ones after four.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I think I saw four, up to four, and then maybe the one with Craig Sheffer, but not all of it. So I'm not sure what number that is, but
I saw up to four. I know those ones. I enjoy those ones. And then after that, I like remember Lance Henriksen being in one. I don't know. I remember just like little bits and stuff here and there. But I mean, you could put a gun to my head and I couldn't tell you anything about them or which ones I seen. So it wasn't like it wasn't like a must see to me, especially since most remakes don't really do it for me anyways. And I don't know if this is considered a proper remake or not, honestly, but whatever it is, it's it's a new Hellraiser, and it's
sure.
so my brother wanted to see it, and he doesn't have Hulu, so I was like, all right, fine, like come over, we'll watch it together. I might as well use this for something. And honestly, like it just felt so generic, so
Mm.
bland. I saw a lot of people whose opinions I trust saying very positive things about it afterwards, which I was kind of surprised. I feel like maybe I was being unfair. Maybe I shouldn't have watched it with my brother because we end up kind of talking and making jokes, and it turns into a mystery science theater sometimes, which isn't fair, but we did the same thing actually with another big new release. So I'll get to that too. And I don't know. It just something was very forgettable about it. It just felt like any other like cursed object or cursed thing movie that comes out these days. And um, I don't know. It didn't have like a particular style or charm or anything to it, really. It was just really forgettable. I feel like I already forgot about most of the movie. And I mean, not even now. I mean, like right after I'd seen it. So I don't know. That's kind of a shame. Like it's not like it was offensive or anything, but it was just pretty bland to me.
Mhm.
The other new release that I watched with my brother again was Halloween Ends,
Yeah.
and um, that one was just one of those things where we couldn't quite believe what was happening while we were watching it, and my wife actually watched it with us too. She even toughed it out and stayed up late for a night, and she was pretty disappointed that that was like the one time she stayed up to watch a movie. She wasn't a fan. I can't say either of us were fans really. We understood what they were going for. We all three of us love Christine, and it was obviously trying very hard to tap into those vibes. Um, but it just, I don't know. It was interesting because at the end of the movie, should we spoil? I mean, it's pretty.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think everyone's seen it.
If you don't want to hear about Halloween Ends, you could skip this, but yeah, we're going in deep with this.
The end of the movie, I laughed harder than I've laughed at any movie for like a long time. Like I was laughing like uncontrollably. Like I was worried I was gonna wake up my kids. My brother was laughing. We just couldn't believe that Michael Myers was in this movie for maybe 10 minutes of screen time. And then he got paraded around town strapped on the top of a car
Yeah.
and put
Like he
in
was like in vacation, like the dead grandma. Yeah.
I just can't. And then I started laughing even harder because I told my brother like I have a newfound respect for this creative team for convincing the studio that they had a trilogy planned out and
Oh
getting
yeah.
the money for a trilogy when they clearly had one movie, in
Yeah.
mind, and then kind of just made it up as they went along and made out like bandits. And like
Hmm.
I mean, good for them, I guess, but I was just cracking up just at the whole concept of it all. And this was before I kind of started seeing all the online reactions, and I'm shocked. Like so many people I know like were really into this or
Yeah.
really respected that it took a, different direction and did something new and refreshing. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm just not sophisticated enough to appreciate it, but I just don't see it at all. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I mean, the reason I think is interesting though is because I would almost have a movie be as bad as Halloween Ends was for me, instead of like how the new Hellraiser was, because like it's at least it was like something I can talk about and laugh about and remember, and like it was memorable, I guess, right? I don't know, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
like I guess it's better to be like a train wreck of a film than just like kind of like a bland like nothing movie.
Yeah, like Halloween Kills, yeah, which was like not even a real movie, and this one, like yeah, yeah, exactly. You'll remember it.
Yeah,
You'll remember
yeah.
it.
No, exactly. And and forgive me, of course I'm talking about ends. I'm not even sure if I said ends or kills, because
No,
I
you did,
feel
yeah.
like they're also interchangeable, and at this point too, in a way, because it's just they just, I don't know, they just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. um but yeah, I don't know, I have a lot I can say about that one, but
Yeah,
those are like the two like newer movies I saw. I That I want to talk about, at least. I will say that I caught one of our older episodes the other day where my recently seen was like half an hour long, so I'm trying to behave myself. But I will mention one movie I just caught up with that was pretty new too, I guess, relatively, which is The Hunt. It was a Blumhouse movie too.
hmm.
Did you see that one by any chance? Because it
I
was
did see it. Yeah, I did see it. It was like one of the last movies to play in theaters
right before the
right before the
pandemic.
pandemic, and I was going to go see it that night, but then I think the theater closed. So I'm like, okay,
Oh,
and I guess like I'm not gonna see that. And then it came out like streaming a couple of months later or whatever it
that
was. And
sounds right.
yeah,
I know it was delayed. I was delayed originally because I think they thought it was kind of in poor taste to release it around one of our many tragedies we've had out here with like mass shootings and everything. So then it got delayed until the pandemic, and then it got kind of lost in that shuffle when all the theaters shut down and just kind of disappeared. And they sold it as like a really controversial movie, like
yeah,
that's gonna just
they
like
did.
really upset people and stuff. And I honestly, I thought it was hilarious, like in a good way.
Right.
Like I really enjoyed that one. I had a lot of laughs with it. Um I like that it just kind of made fun of everybody and everything, and did it in
Hmm.
the setting very I don't even know how to describe it. Just one of these it's like a genre of itself where people are being hunted kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
um and it did it in a really fun and clever way, so that was a thumbs up for me. I surprisingly enjoyed that one, and I have no idea if that's a controversial opinion or not, because they sell it as such a controversial movie, but to me it was just I think that's probably just marketing, right? But
I think so. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that one. But so yeah, I'll just leave it at those three for now. But I want to hear more about your thoughts on Halloween Kills.
Well,
Or
Halloween, I guess, ends.
I just did it.
I'm glad. All I can say is I'm glad it's over. This
Is it?
trilogy, this
Yeah,
trilogy, is clearly not meant for me. I know people who are diehard Halloween fans and Laurie Strode fans especially are love what was done in these movies,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I thought I was a fan of Laurie Strode and Halloween. I was like, well, what am I like? They're seeing something I'm not seeing, I guess.
No, absolutely.
I feel like each of these films have totally get the characters wrong. Starting with Halloween 2018, having Laurie, who had at that point only one encounter with Michael Myers in 1978, spent the next 40 years of her life living out in the woods and just having a terrible life, and not being able to get over it. And then you have Halloween Kills, which continues that, and
Mhm.
and like a bunch of nonsense.
And
A lot of
ends
people
with
get killed,
her, yeah, including her daughter,
and her
right?
daughter ends up getting killed.
Yeah.
And then Michael Myers escapes. Okay, and that's like so a non-movie really. It's like a lead up to the third movie.
Uh-huh.
And then they make this third movie, and you're expecting a continuation of that, and it's no, it's 4 years later. she's living a happy new life in a new house, which I
Yeah.
don't know how she can afford. I don't know what does Laurie do. All she does in this movie is she's writing a book, which last I checked, most people don't get money up front these days to write books anymore. Certainly her story, I don't know if it's, if it's the story that everyone wants to listen to, considering that the town is written as Haddonfield is written as a town where she's a pariah, right? No one
Yeah, which I didn't
people
understand either.
people blame her, so I don't know why a publisher would think that a book was worthy of,
Did
anyway,
I
there's so much like contradictions in this movie.
did I miss something with that though? Why was she blamed for it? It's not like she's
Exact
the one that,
exactly. It's
went in
like,
freedom at, on Halloween night or whatever.
yeah, I think something about like how she attracted him somehow, like she's luring him to the town, like she's the reason why he's doing this,
I didn't follow that
which
at
doesn't
all.
make any sense
Yeah.
at all. So much of it doesn't make any sense. There's lots of
But
contradictions.
even that setup you just explained, like, why was she so much more comfortable now after he'd killed her daughter and was still
Yeah,
on the loose, as
right.
opposed to when he was in jail for 40 years
That makes no sense.
or a
This movie has
sanitarium
its
or
own
whatever?
logic. It uses its own sense of pop psychology, which is sprinkled throughout the movie. I
Yes.
only saw this movie one time, but I just
Same.
remember like all these characters were spouting all this pop psychology once in a while, like random people, like dads of characters, and like what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah, I've only seen
um,
each of these
it
once
makes
as
no
well.
sense, but I feel like it's the writers trying to explain what, they're trying desperately to explain the logic of the scene by having characters use as pop psychology, and it makes none of it makes any sense. All the
No,
characters it's a lot of contradictions of what came before it, because clearly to me it's like the writers realized they wrote themselves in corners with some of the with what they were doing with the story, continuing the storyline the same night, so they have to like retcon things, right? And so, okay, she's happy now because she's conquering her fear, right? She's taking it back or whatever. These are like these silly dumb notions, and so like I guess some fans are like, okay, yeah, it's like Laurie's empowered by by that, which makes zero sense in real world.
no.
You're more, you have more trauma put onto you.
It doesn't even work in movie world, honestly. Yeah,
It doesn't work in movie.
no, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry.
I mean, originally this movie was a continuation of Kills. The same night, more bad shit happens, and then maybe it'll stop there and it goes into another storyline. They decided to, no, we're gonna skip ahead 4 years and then give Laurie kind of this arc, like where she's over her evil.
But it's not even
She's
her movie. It's
and then
not.
it's not, but at the same time, it's not her movie. So my theory is, yeah, they have Jamie Lee Curtis for 2 weeks, and they have to use her. She's you watch these movies, she's barely in these movies.
Yeah,
There,
I think you're onto something there.
she's sprinkled throughout. They have 2 weeks, so they have to like kind of find a way to incorporate that into these like very muddled and contrived storylines that make no sense, that contradict each other, because they have it for this amount of time, but also give her something to work with as an actress, who's a good actor, and
Yeah.
she makes the most out of it. She does, but it's bad. It's not good. It's just not. None of it makes any sense, and I understand they were trying to do something a little bit different. But if you're calling it Halloween Ends and it's a ultimate end of Michael Myers, which as it turns out, it is in this movie, it makes no sense to go the route they did, because
Yeah.
it's really just a distraction away from the fact that they really didn't have much of a movie, and so they're incorporating different ideas into one movie to make a full movie, and it's a mess, and it's not fun. It's not scary.
No,
It's
it's not.
not there's no one you particularly like in the movie, which is a big problem.
Yeah, I agree. I
All the things that make horror movies work don't exactly work. You have John Carpenter doing the music, and that's great and all, but it's not enough for me to like say, okay, this is a movie for me. It's barely a Halloween in the movie. It's
Oh
like
yeah, it doesn't feel like Halloween.
it
I
doesn't even
think the
feel.
other ones they at least did that a little bit more.
I mean, it's like a scene of like her like baking and like lighting a pumpkin. Like that's not enough. That's not how
Nah,
it's just
no.
it's not enough and it's not satisfying. It's really just it just really shows you almost the contempt they have for this franchise at this point. I'm like,
Yeah,
they just
I
wanted
think
to,
that's a good way to put it.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and I didn't have any fun, and I'm moved on. I'm not gonna watch it more. I'm not. The one time was enough. I watched Kills once, and I watched Halloween 2018 once each.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
I'm
with you.
good. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I was tempted to watch 2018 again, just
Mhm.
because I felt like I was so on the outside with the reactions to that. But then after Kills, I felt very validated, so I didn't go back. And I was like, I feel really good about where I am right now. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, and it's frustrating because it's kind of like the same thing that happened to me with Star Wars now, where I could be like, oh, I love Halloween. Halloween's my favorite horror franchise, or at least my favorite slasher franchise. But now, like, same as Star Wars, like I grew up being like, hey, I love Star Wars, I'm obsessed with Star Wars, but it's gone to the point where there's like more Halloween that I don't like than there
Yeah.
is that I like. And same with same with Star Wars. Whatever you could use a million other franchises as examples, but
Mhm.
it's a frustrating place to be in as a fan, especially this day and age with the internet and social media, where I mean, I feel like our circle of friends are pretty cool about this stuff, and people can agree and disagree on stuff. But if you ever make the mistake of like just reading a random like comment section somewhere, just out of morbid curiosity or whatever,
Scary.
it's scary, it's nuts, and people are like so heated about this stuff, and like, well, you're not a true fan, and you're not a true fan, and this is the best sequel since Rob Zombie's Halloween, or whatever. And it's just like there's like opinions out there where I'm just like, all right, like it's never bothered me that everyone has their own things that they like. I
Mhm.
just hate how contentious it's gotten now,
Yeah.
and I feel like this is gonna be one of those movies for sure, because I didn't think it was when I watched it. Same with Kills, but it's got its fans, it's got its diehard fans.
Yeah.
It
And
struck a chord with a certain crowd. It's not a slasher movie. It's not even, I don't know what to describe it as. It's kind of like a
it's
movie like
like a serial
watching,
killer movie, maybe
yeah,
like
like oh,
like a serial killer origin movie.
exactly, like it's kind of like a serial killer movie, but it's more like a Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, or
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some older examples because there are plenty, but it's like one of those movies where like someone's just kind of pushed too far, and
Yeah.
the world is so cruel, and they
Right.
just kind of corrupts them or whatever, and then they finally snap.
Sure.
It's like one of those movies, and I guess that that strikes a nerve with some people, and there are good ones like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but this just, I don't know, maybe it's I no, it's not even that. I was gonna say maybe if it wasn't a Halloween movie, it would be easier to accept it, but it was just too flawed anyways. Like, even
Oh
if you
yeah.
take out everything,
There's
it's
too
just,
many plot coincidences and characters
yeah,
overlapping that make no sense. Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
what, and I can forgive all of that in a movie that's having fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if
In
you
a
think
in a
you're an
party
art,
movie.
yeah, exactly. But if you think you're an art movie,
Yep.
which I think these guys, honestly, I think that's what they think they're making.
Yes.
Um,
I've
then you need to do
I
better.
have friends who like liken this movie to earlier David Gordon Green when he was making still art movies like All the Real Girls and George Washington, and they're like, "Oh, this is like him going back to his earlier work, like him being allowed to make one of his earlier arty independent films." I'm like, "Is
I
it
don't know.
though?"
Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak to David Gordon Green because honestly, before he got started with this franchise, I probably couldn't have picked him out of a lineup. But yeah, like I've heard that too, and I don't know if that's what people like, all the more power to them. But
Yeah.
it's just I couldn't believe it, and I'm telling you, I just really had a good laugh at the end at the balls it took, for lack of a
It's
better
true.
term,
It is. It's
to
like
just
we're going to
the
piss
nerve.
off people, and they're gonna love it, and
They
like
were
and they're gonna
so
thank
proud
us
of
for it.
that. Yeah, they were so proud of that too. I think they were even marketing it as, oh, this is going to upset a lot of people, and it's
Yeah.
just, man, I don't know. I don't know. It's just did not do it for me. It was a But I'm telling you, I like look how much we could talk about that, and like Hellraiser, like I already forgot about it. So
Exactly. So it's doing something right, I
maybe there's
guess.
something there. Yeah, maybe
It's
there's something there.
it's doing something right. Hashtag not my Halloween. So
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But you watch anything else recently? Anything worth?
anything worth talking about?
What about that Seance movie?
Oh
Was
yeah,
that
I
any
like
good?
Seance. That was written and directed by Simon Barrett, who wrote The Guest and You're
With Adam
Next with
Wingard,
Adam
right?
Wingard.
Big
Here
fan.
he got to do his movie on its own, and it's a fun like 90-minute like um teen related horror. Like I would call it a supernatural slasher. It's
Oh, okay.
it's kind of a hybrid. So I had fun with that.
Cool.
It's not like it's like one of those movies that's like not like going to you're not going to go in and like go out of it saying wow that blew me away, but it was a fun like 90 minutes. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
I
sounds good
enjoyed it.
right
It's not pretentious, it's just fun, and so it was nice to have that. And I think the reason that one kind of fell on the radar because that was a movie that came out during the pandemic. I think it was meant to be a theatrical, like go into Shutter or streaming or
Oh,
something.
see, I didn't even know where it went or
Yeah,
I don't remember hearing anything about it. So I did add it to my list to rent streaming because I couldn't
yeah,
find it
it's on the
anywhere.
Shutter app. That's how I watched it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got Shutter for like a month or two because it's all this stuff coming out in Halloween. So okay, I'll watch it that way.
Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. They've got a lot of
I've been
stuff.
watching a lot of those like 101 horror moments and Queer for Fear and all those things have been entertaining and good for like background. Queer for Fear
Yeah,
is a little bit better, it's a little more interesting, like some of the interviews, but like the 101 horror moments, whatever, it's good for background.
right, right.
There's another one that's out there, Compendium of Fear, or whatever it's called, or Compendium of Horror.
Oh, okay.
There's a few of those. Like they're good for like to see clips of like horror movies well, and to see and talking head
Yeah.
interviews. I think they're fun. They're
I
good.
did Shudder for Creep Show season one, I want to say, but
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like I think at that time maybe it's changed, but it was the app was kind of set up in a wonky way where like I couldn't watch it just on my smart TV. I had to go like through the Apple TV app, and
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just wasn't a fan. I was like, I don't like this enough for the inconvenience, and
It's probably a little bit better. It's like it works on my. I use it through the Fire Stick, and it's like totally fine.
that's
It's not as
cool.
good as it's not easy to navigate as like say like a Netflix or a Hulu or whatever. But it you can find stuff on there. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I might eventually. I
and
mean, there's
it's not
stuff.
something I'm gonna keep forever because once these shows are over, I mean I can just watch all my horror collection, so I'm fine. But it's good for
Exactly.
like this
That's
time of
the
the
problem.
year when you want to like catch up on some things maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like the good side like of these streaming services. Like you can have them, but you're not married to them like you are with like a cable. Like when you have
Right.
cable, you're locked in for like 2 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
This stuff you could like you could you could have it for a month, quit it, and then say okay, and then go back into it when you want to like watch a new show.
I know a lot of
I do that
people
for
do that.
Apple. Like when Apple has like a show I want to watch, like the football one. My wife is really into that one with oh God, I'm forgetting the name now. It's a super popular show that wins a lot of Emmys awards, but
Right.
I'm blanking on the name, of course. So we watched those. Mythic Quest is a really funny show on there. They're doing a new season, so when that comes back, I'll have Apple Plus for a month or whatever. So
I haven't, yeah,
and then
I haven't,
cancel it.
I've never had Apple Plus. There's so many things I feel like I'm missing out on, but I got to get caught up on some of those for sure.
Okay, so just Barbarian. I rewatched that. Did you see Barbarian? Did we
I,
talk about
um,
that?
I actually started watching it on my phone in a hotel room the other night. This was like Tuesday night, I want to say, before I took my family to a Disney California Adventure, and I just I fell asleep. I was just too tired, I guess. So I fell asleep with earbuds in, which isn't fun.
Okay, yeah. So this is a movie that I saw in the theater, and I liked it, but I had problems with it.
Yeah,
And
it
so,
sounds
but
like it's getting mixed reactions from.
so, but I admired what they did with it at the
Mhm.
same time, even though I had problems with it. And then the same exact experience of watching it again. And like, I have friends who are telling me I love this movie. It's like, it's another movie like Halloween Ends where people are like really hyping it up. For me, I'm like, okay, but I still have these issues with this movie because
Right,
there's too
right.
much of this one thing, this element in it that bothers me. Like characters making dumb choices to keep the story going. It happens a lot in Barbarian.
Sure, sure.
But the movie does take a turn, and it has
That's
like,
what I hear.
and
Yeah.
it's fun. So I
I didn't get as
enjoy that
far
aspect.
enough to see the turn. I've heard
So
it's
I would, yeah,
yeah,
I would go back and watch the whole
I
thing, and
will.
then yeah,
Maybe
and
tonight even. Yeah.
my wife enjoyed it. It was her first time watching it, but she also, again, like me, she has those problems where if a character's making too many, it's okay to do one or two stupid things, but like if you're constantly doing it to keep the story going, that's like
Yeah, that's frustrating.
yeah,
I hear
it
you.
frustrates me. But
Yeah.
it's an enjoyable movie, and it takes some fun turns. Not a lot. Initiation, I rewatched that.
Oh yeah.
Friday the 13th, the series. Been rewatching episodes of that,
I saw you post that. Yeah, very cool.
and I don't know, I haven't seen them in a while, and I remember like a lot of these shows, they're very hit or miss, and
Yeah,
I've been trying to watch the ones that I hear are good,
sure.
or I remember being good when I watched the show a long time ago when they came out, and yeah, I've been enjoying them, so it's good stuff.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I remember some good ones. It's been a while. There was gosh, I want to say we had a TV channel at one point before streaming took over everything, that actually showed that quite a bit.
It was
Um,
like Chiller
Chiller, it was
Chiller
Chiller.
or Scream or so, yeah, something like that. Yeah, there was like
Yeah,
a
I
channel
believe it
that played
was
them all the
Chiller,
time.
and
Yeah.
I watched that a lot back then. This is probably close to 10 years ago, I'm guessing.
Right.
I have no concept of time anymore, honestly. Like
Yeah.
anything the past 15 years.
When you have kids too, it's like, oh my God. Like
Yeah,
I just measure time and like how old my kids are. I'm like, oh, that was 10 years. That was 10
exactly.
years ago. Like,
It's
Jesus
like,
Christ.
and if I hadn't had them yet, then forget it. It's like a complete blank. But yeah, no, I remember enjoying quite a few of those, and Monsters and Tales from the Dark Side.
Mhm.
There's good and bad with all of them, but they're
Yeah.
fun to
They're
check
fun.
out for
They're
sure.
fun to watch for sure. All right,
Yeah.
let's get into Night of the Demons.
Yes. Yeah.
We have video boxes to read off. For the
Yeah.
audio version, I'll put in trailers, but you'll have trailers here too for our YouTube. So if you watch this on our YouTube channel, you'll have trailers. If you hear this, you'll hear the trailers. And we'll try to incorporate all that stuff in
Nice.
as we go. All right, so let's do Night of the Demons.
Come on, we don't want to be late to our own party.
Hey, there it is. Stop the car.
This place was once a funeral parlor, wasn't it?
All right, dude. And your dresses.
Maybe I'm in the mood for pork tonight.
What was that?
You know, I've never made it in coffee.
They wanted to party and raise some hell. And they did.
Stop looking at me. Oh, sweet mother. We're gonna get out of here. No! Get up to me! Yes, you can!
Night of the Demons.
Where you going? The party's just begun.
It's Halloween night, and a group of good time teens have broken into an abandoned funeral parlor with plans to raise a little hell. And that's exactly what they do. For their intrusion has awakened an ancient demonic evil whose hunger for human souls knows no bounds. And now the monstrous predator is out to turn their Halloween party into an unending celebration of sheer terror. The visual sorcery of special effects master Steve Johnson of A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Fright Night, Poltergeist 2, and Ghostbusters delivers high voltage shivers in a terrifying encounter of the supernatural kind. So be prepared for an evening of horror you'll never forget. Get ready for the Night of the Demons. And that is from Republic Pictures home video, distributed by Artisan, though. Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I like that it's pretty vague, because it's not a super plot heavy movie in general, and I think it's better to keep the few surprises in there, because this, as comfortable as the formula became, with its sequels, this kind of was an original kind of movie at the time. Sure, there were lots of like similar movies as far as getting a bunch of teenagers to an isolated location and having some kind of threat, whether it's like a supernatural threat or just some serial killer or whatever pop up. Yeah, that stuff had been done, and there's been plenty of haunted house movies, sure, but this was something different. There was something kind of fresh about this, and like the possession element and the way that kind of went. There was a lot of things that kind of subvert expectations in this movie, as far as who becomes a heroic character and who doesn't. Even who survives, and to some degree, I think is a nice surprise. And it's I think it's something that we kind of forget now, because it's a movie we grew up with, and it's a movie that's kind of been aped since then, and even with its own sequels has kind of become like a tried and true formula. But I think it was pretty fresh, and I love that about it. I think it's unique. There's something about this first one that's very special in that regard. There's an animated credit sequence, opening credit sequence even, that is really fun. It feels very Halloween season appropriate, and it's just puts a big smile on my face. I feel like this movie in general really captures the like that kind of fun and like mischief of like Halloween and like the Halloween night, in a way that maybe it hasn't been done a whole lot, as much as you would think. It's been tried. It's been tried for sure, but the closest comparison I can think of off the top of my head would be something like the horror anthology movie Trick or Treat, which also kind of captured that tone. It's like almost an intangible thing I can't quite put my finger on, but it's very Halloween. And it was missing from Halloween Ends.
Yeah, I just mentioned that to someone recently. Like, if you put Trick or Treat and Halloween Ends together,
oh right,
and look at the atmosphere of Halloween and Beach,
right.
It's like crazy how night and day they are. Yeah.
No, that's right. That's a good example. And this one really does feel like Halloween. It's really fun. It's just a bunch of follows this group of teenagers, and it has a lot of fun, like kind of false scares to set things up, and it just got a real playful tone to it, and I love that. I'm a big fan of Kevin Tenney in general. He I don't think he gets enough credit for like his contributions to the genre, at least not in my opinion, but like he's one of the good ones. I think he should have had an even bigger career than he did, because he put out a lot of good stuff, and I'm a fan of his. His brother Dennis Tenney actually did the score to both Night of the Demons and Witchboard. Interesting enough, which I get a kick out of that, because I like it when there's like it looks like it's kind of nepotism almost. But except for this was like a small budget movie. It's not like Francis Ford Coppola nepotism, right? It's like, but I like it when it's like that. But like it turns out the person's like really good at what they do. And the scores are great. Like I
Yeah.
love the score in this. I love the score in Witchboard, and I think that's awesome. I was so sorry. My notes are a little bit all over the place here, but
That's the way it should be here.
I
These
was
movies.
exactly for sure. I was listening to some of the commentary on the Anchor Bay DVD for this. So before I say that, I should explain this. Here's the old Anchor Bay DVD, right? Everyone's probably seen this.
Yep.
This was released 2004, okay? So since then, I've gotten the Scream Factory release. I've gotten the Scream Factory Steelbook. Those are both in my garage somewhere now. I don't know why. Just some weird way my brain works. I've gotten these media books from Germany.
Ooh.
There's some pretty cool covers here. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. Some pretty cool covers. Some nice.
I love those. I love those covers.
But I still, every time I've watched this movie, including this time, I put in the Anchor Bay DVD. I
That's
don't
so
know
funny.
why. I don't think I've ever seen it in high definition.
Oh no!
So,
You should
so
see it.
I should do that for at some point. But I put it on, and for some reason, I think it's my player because it does this with like Supergirl and a lot of other Anchor Bay DVDs I have. It just starts playing the commentary.
Oh, that happened. Actually, that happens to me too.
Oh, interesting. It might be the player. It might be something with the way
It
the
does. It did that with. We had Kenny and Company today.
which is an Anchor Bay DVD.
Anchor Bay DVD, and it defaulted to the commentary. And my kids are like, "What the?"
Like
it
did
actually said that. What the?
And you have to push the the language button pretty much to switch the track.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, so I just kind of was like, well, all right, I'm doing a podcast. I'll listen to the commentary for a little bit and then I'll switch it over, right? Because I don't know, I just wanted to watch the movie, even though it's good commentary. And one thing that I thought was really interesting that I hadn't heard before was they mentioned that they use long lenses for filming all the scenes outside of the house, outside of Hull House. So everything had kind of like a flat look to it almost.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything inside the house, they used short lenses. So it gave the house like this like depth, like kind of like almost like an immersive depth to it. So it's just something that was like, almost, I almost just went in one ear and out the other, but I was just like, that's a really good idea, because watching it does feel that way. Like you do kind of feel a difference, and it does kind of throw you off kilter a little bit because it's visually different inside. It has a different feel to it, a different atmosphere. So I like that. I love those kinds of touches. And again, I mean, that just goes to show, like I was saying, there was some talented people involved here for this very, I mean, look, people think of Night of the Demons as like some big 80s hit. It was a really small movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown into like a cult status since then, which is awesome. But this was not like some, blockbuster movie. And I feel like the reason that it's lasted and been as beloved as it's become is because of those kinds of that kind of care that went into it.
Sure.
Like those kinds of touches. And I did make some notes about the characters. Like I mentioned, it does subvert expectations. There's people who seem like they're good guys who kind of turn out not to be so good. And like there's a character, Sal, who's set up to be like kind of sleazy. And and he ends up being like a real hero, and like he like genuinely cares about Judy and the heroine, and Judy, of course, that is a great like kind of final girl kind of character in this. I love that she's dressed up as Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
That's great.
It really fits the vibe. It's it just feels like a really nice touch for how crazy this movie is. I love Roger too. Just like what a unlikely survivor for this kind of a film, and I think he's great. I think I love all the characters in this movie. Really, it's just I don't know. It's a really good cast, really fun cast. Linnea Quigley, of course. and Angela, from what I recall, and I should have written this down, they cast someone else and only went back because they needed someone who could dance, and she has a great dance number. So I don't know. I get a kick out.
Yeah.
And then she turned out to be like the one consistent like throughout this, trilogy, I guess, if you want to call it that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a big fan of this movie. I've got I mean, I took way more notes on this than I did any of the other ones, honestly, but they're kind of scatterbrained. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Night of the Demons. What do you think?
Well, first off, I'll point out I have the blues on the shelf. I'll take them down for like the next one or something. But
I
first
saw
one,
that, yeah.
second one, and the third one, I got a bootleg. The third one was never released officially on DVD.
It's hard to find.
Or high definition in any way.
Yeah.
So I managed to get a bootleg. But it looks good. So the first movie, first off, I'm looking at my notes. I typed them up today.
Nice.
I didn't use a typewriter. So yeah, like you were mentioning, it wasn't a big movie. It wasn't a movie that was like, okay, we're gonna release it on like 3,000 screens, although back then it was like, it would have been 2,000 screens, and it's going to do big numbers or not. It was released like kind of almost like regionally, like small, like they released in a handful of theaters in Detroit first, and then September 9th of 1988, and then they kind of built it from there. It did really well in Detroit. So they moved it around like through October, and then eventually November. That's when we got it in New York City. So it took a while, like to go move it around, and that's when I saw it. It was November 23rd in New York City. It opened. So the budget was small, 1.2 million I wrote down, but it ended up grossing over $3 million at the time. That's a hit. That's considered a hit when you at least double your money.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And this wasn't a movie that was like costing a lot of money to advertise. They were doing their best to advertise it with very memorable trailers and poster art, and radio interviews. And I think they had Linnea Quigley like do a couple of interviews, and some of the cast members. So they were trying their best to market this very little movie, and and doing it in a very independent way. Back when you could still do that,
right.
Within the theatrical circuit.
Yeah.
And I caught it in the theater. Luckily enough, I saw it at the Kingsway Theater.
No way.
I could not remember for the life of me what other movie I saw that day with it, because it was like one of those situations. Like I know I saw another movie. I definitely remember Night of the Demons because it was a very memorable movie, but the other one was super not memorable. And then I looked it up. I had to like do the research, go into like research mode, and like track down what was playing in the theater at the same time. And then I realized it was a movie called Full Moon in Blue Water.
Never heard of it.
Like a Terry Garr and Gene Hackman movie that like time has totally forgotten about. I don't think it's got any kind of real release past VHS, at least that I know of. And so yeah, I'm like, what is that movie? Oh, it's like some comedy with those two in it. And I don't know why we saw that, but it was like, it was like me, my grandmother, my younger sister. So something to see, I guess,
Sure, yeah.
We definitely love to go see horror movies in October, November. People forget back then they used to release horror movies, not just in October, but also November.
Oh,
that was very common to do back in the 80s. Like if you remember, Nightmare on Elm Street was released like the week after Halloween.
Right.
There were like a lot of movies released in November for some reason.
Yeah, weren't like the Child's Play movies released?
The Child's Play was released like a week after Halloween. The same, it was like a common thing. So that Child's Play movie, actually, I saw that in the theater like a couple weeks before this one. I remember that.
Right.
It was like a big deal, like 1988, or like all these, like I had Child's Play, I had Halloween 4, which was like
nice.
back to Michael Myers after not having him in a movie for 7 years. And then this movie, which was like a kind of out of nowhere movie, like, oh, right. Suddenly there's this movie called Night of the Demons. Okay, I'll go see this movie. and I had a lot of fun with it. I remember like being totally happy because it was set on Halloween.
Uh-huh.
I was big. Again, another movie, November 1st, 1985, Midnight Hour aired the day after Halloween.
Right, yeah.
So I was really into movies that are set on Halloween. I especially love a movie that had a vibe where it was like a party,
Right
like the
there with
Midnight
you.
Hour.
Yeah.
And so this had that and had Halloween together. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. I remember really enjoying it off the bat and having a lot of fun with it. It was the era of special effects, special makeup effects.
Yeah,
Like you read off the back of that VHS box, and it really highlights the big sell of the
exactly.
movie on the VHS was the Steve Johnson
Which is
effects.
awesome. I love that these special effects artists were like rock stars, you
They
know,
were
like,
totally rock
that's
stars.
so cool. That's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean they were pretty much big rock stars until CGI, and then that kind of
Yeah.
like ruined their lives. But
Oh, such a shame.
sadly,
Yeah.
but Steve Johnson, he managed to do this movie, and then he worked on The Abyss, which won the Academy Award,
Oh, nice.
and then back into the 90s when it started to change, of course, with CGI. Ironically, thanks to James Cameron. But,
Yeah, right.
uh,
Yeah. Why? I'm so sorry. I don't want to get you off track here, but I feel like you're a good person to ask this. Why
uh,
hasn't The Abyss had any
well, I
releases?
think it's because of actually James Cameron. He's intentionally putting off supervising HD masters of all his movies because he's working on these Avatar things, and he's been
Oh
working on them for
no.
years.
He's making like 100 too, I think he said.
But
No, that's terrible
I
news.
I heard there's been movement on them because it has been movement on these Avatar movies. So I think maybe there's one more step closer towards getting
It's
the
like a hostage situation. He's like,
yeah.
you let me make these Avatar movies and we'll remaster the
It's
Abyss.
funny because like some of his movies like
That's so
have gone
cool.
gone through like changes in studios, like The
Yeah,
Abyss, for example, is now owned by Disney.
right.
And
Oh, that's another reason probably
but
why
I
we're
think
more
he has
interested.
has a deal with them because he's Avatar movies are through them. So I'm sure he'll get to it, and it'll be nice HD releases. I know the Terminator was somebody else like had owned the rights to it, so he doesn't have that full control over the first Terminator,
Yeah,
or even the
Terminator,
second one. But yeah,
Terminator 2, Aliens, all those movies got really nice
yeah,
releases, you know, and but I
yeah.
feel like The Abyss has been lost in time.
Yeah, and I hear Titanic is coming out in 2023. So
Oh,
yeah, there's
they can take their time on that
yeah, I know. Funny, that's the one that's going to come out before all those other ones. But
one.
oh well. Yeah, but hopefully like True Lies and The Abyss.
I would
Yeah,
love to get those like some sweet additions. Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. Um, yeah, so I enjoyed it. Kevin Tenney, like you mentioned, the director is really underrated.
Yeah.
He adds a lot to the movies. I think the script though by Joe Augustine is key too because
Yes.
he is a constant in like in some of these movies. The success of maybe the second one.
Meep, you just said something that I have to say this. It start the commentary on the Anchor Bay DVD. Kevin Tenney introduces himself as the writer and director, and then he corrects himself. He says, "Oh wait, I didn't write this one."
No, he wrote the third one.
Yeah, which is really funny.
We'll
But
get
yeah,
to
no,
that.
it's he had a really good script for this. You're right. I'm glad
Yeah,
he kudos to the director,
I
to the
mean,
actor as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Joe Augustine, whose other credits, if you look up his credits, is Night Angel from 1990, which of course Dominique Gerard, Alton and Gerard, who directed Halloween 5, directed that movie. And actually, I actually do like Night Angel a lot.
Yeah, that's like
Um,
it's something fashion, right? I
yeah,
can't
it's like a
remember.
supernatural fashion in the fashion world movie. It's actually really interesting, and it needs a little bit more love. It's on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber.
Right. I think I
Uh,
picked that up. I need to watch
yeah,
that.
I think you'd like that one. It's interesting. It's very much of that time, but
Very cool.
I think it's I actually like that director's movies. A lot of people hate Halloween 5,
Didn't he do
obviously.
Omen
He
4
did
that we
Omen
talked about?
4, which is
Yeah,
another
I
fun
love that
movie.
one.
I think he
Yeah.
makes fun movies that have a kind of an atmosphere about them. That
Look,
I
you
That
know
I
I
appreciate.
wasn't crazy about Halloween 5. We've talked about it before, but it's looking better and better with time. I think I might owe it an apology at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, like you mentioned, the animated opening credits that really adds to the storybook quality.
Yes.
It gives it another vibe that was kind of, they were doing animated credits in the 80s
Yeah,
for a
it
lot
was
of
a thing
comedies, but
for
you weren't
sure.
seeing a lot of them in horror movies, so it was kind of
No,
cool to see that.
no, not at all.
It was mostly like comedies, like you would watch a Troop Beverly Hills or Mannequin, or like the comedies, and you would
Right.
see Ruthless People, and you see like
Oh yeah, that's a good
fun
one.
opening credits. But I like seeing that in a horror movie, and it was done by
Yeah,
someone who was really talented too. Like you could really sense that this person was really had a really good eye for that sort of thing, and it was kind of cool.
for sure. For
The
sure.
score by Dennis Michael Tenney. Tenney hired his brother, and it's one of those situations where it could have gone, like horribly wrong, but I think it went really right, and
Yeah, go figure.
it really works. So sometimes nepotism works. You just gotta have the talent to back your shit up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, everything about it, like it's very Halloweeny, the kind of the wraparound almost with the
Right.
cantankerous old man and the trick or treaters and the
Yeah, I
payoff at
forgot to
the
mention
end.
that. That was really fun.
It's
Yeah, that
weird. It's like at first you're like, why is this in the movie? But then like, oh, it's just because it's really trying to give you Halloween, like from
yeah.
beginning to end. So
And it almost feels like that makes it almost feel like an anthology in a way too, because you just didn't get like a random wraparound like that um,
yeah.
in a standard horror movie. And I love that. I love that you got that shot of the survivors, walking down the street. He's like, "Oh, look at these guys! They've, this cantankerous like old man. Like they've been out partying all night, and
Yeah.
been a pain in the ass since the beginning of the movie." And you almost feel bad for him until you see he's like got the razor blades to put in the apples to give out, and this was a big 80s thing as well, I remember. um,
Totally.
and that ending is just really fun to go back to him and get that payoff. It's I almost always forget that that's part of this movie, but it's great.
It's just there. It's like it's not even like super important to the movie at all, but they really wanted to give you extra Halloween in the movie, and like,
yeah,
so
again, that's very trick or treat, right? I mean, that's very
yeah,
fun. Like that's what Halloween is all
that's
about.
what it should be about. And these movies that are set on this holiday and then don't take advantage of that, like, piss me off. So fuck Halloween Ends for doing that. Hate it even
This is
more now.
turning into a therapy session for us too. This is good. This
This
is
is
good.
my therapy, Laurie
Yeah.
Strode.
All right.
Yeah, I just think we need more Halloween dance parties in movies. Like
Absolutely.
it's like a theme in all three of these movies. I'm like, give it
Right.
to me.
Yeah.
I think Angela, she's great. I mean, she does a great job at dancing, and I like it's like a thing, like it, it's unnecessary. Like, you don't have to have like a possession means you're a good dancer, but I like that it's there. I like that's like such an 80s like trope
Yeah.
of having a dance scene, but it's perfect. Like, why not in a horror movie? And
Absolutely. I love that that is a thing, and that it comes back. And I love that this sleazy character Sal is the only one that was like, getting this like seduction dance, and was just like, I'm getting the F out of here. Like, like he's like,
he
this is
knows.
something. Yeah, I love that, because like he would be the character in any other like a lesser script that would have been the first one to fall for that, right? To be like, oh, this sexy dance, and I'm all in, and then bam, he's a demon or he's dead.
I mean, he gets like
I
the
love
greatest
that.
lines, like the lines about the plastic on the furniture, just like, just
Yeah, yeah.
like it's just like I grew up with that stuff. So like, as an
For
Italian
sure.
American, so
Oh,
I related to his character.
totally. I get it. Yeah, that's something I saw plenty of too, for sure.
Another draw to these movies, of course, are the it's like not popular in movies anymore, and I understand why. It's something you don't see in modern horror anymore, because it's we live in different times. But the TNA of
Yeah.
of 80s horror, 80s and 90s horror was very prevalent, and
Exactly.
this movie does not shy away from that, and the sequels do not shy away from that, and
Nope.
it's
And they
there
get
for
pretty
those who enjoy
creative.
it.
Yeah, they actually get pretty creative with it too.
It's very creative. At least probably to me one of the most memorable scene in the movie.
So I could be wrong. This is going off of memory actually, but I think Linnea Quigley met her husband while making a cast of her breasts for this movie. So love came out of it too. So there you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
See, you can't discount showing your boobs willingly in a movie, because if that's what you're up for and you're into it and you don't feel
yeah.
exploited by it, go for it, I say. And
Oh yeah. No, that's
Linnea Quigley was certainly not shy to do that in movies, and more power to her, because that
yeah.
scene is super memorable, and it's
Oh,
prosthetic
yeah.
breasts, where she's like the lipstick going inside her boob, and to me it's like one of the movies, like one of the what the fuck moments of the movie that really, like, when this movie was over in the theater, I'm like, that scene and the lipstick, I'm like, what? I'm not gonna forget
Yeah.
that scene.
Like, was that really in there? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's that is missing. That's kind of weird. I guess I get it, like you said, but I don't know. I mean, you could do it, equal opportunity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of weird that horror has become so sexless now.
It's true.
I
And
feel like that maybe that's a topic for a whole other podcast, but that's interesting. I hadn't really given that a lot of thought, but you're right. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely been pushed back, because for a long time, slasher movies, for example, have always been equating sex equals death. And,
Right.
certainly,
Yeah.
John Carpenter was accused of that, and that was not his intention, of course, because you just make movies about teenagers is going to be sex, and that's just kind of how it goes. That's how I always looked at it. I mean, certainly movies were exploiting that, and this movie, these Night of Demons movies, are certainly doing that. But I don't feel like it was done in any malicious way. I feel like it works for the movies, or entertaining. It's entertaining. They're not. These are not like movies that you walk away feeling like someone was really totally exploited.
That was actually discussed on the commentary too. It's so funny you bring that up. There's a scene, and I forget the actress's name now, forgive me, but the girl who plays the final girl, Judy, is I guess she was like a little nervous about the scene where she's introduced, and she's wearing like a long sweater, but she like takes off her bottom clothing, underwear, whatever, and you get like a shot of her butt, and like the director, Kevin Tenney, commented that he's like, at first she was like a little nervous for like a second, but like by the second take she was like so into it and so into her character and like having fun with it. He said everybody was just so cool, like, and easy to work with, and like on board with everything. And he was like complimenting them. He said there wasn't like one person that was difficult about anything. And like, I don't know. I think that's cool. I don't know. It's who am I to say? I'm a guy, right? But I think that is something missing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things in this movie that you add them all up, and they just really, it really just amounts to being just a kind of a nonstop 90 minutes of fun. I mean, I've heard things that I've heard some criticism that the movie, like, once it gets to the house, it's not as fun, but I'm like, I don't know, there's a lot of fun things that happen in the house to me.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be a criticism. Yeah, I think it gets, if anything,
a lot of the most memorable things happen when they're in the house.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the movie for sure.
Yeah,
and it works as like a haunted house movie in a way, but I do love that it distinguishes itself with this line that's pretty much in all three of these movies, that it's not haunted, it's possessed.
Right.
And I like that. I think that's pretty cool. This is all about demons, and I think goes some really fun places with that for sure.
I think it does totally, because the characters get possessed, that adds a lot to the movie, where you characters you set up that you enjoy, you like, and then they're getting possessed, and there's the silliness that comes from that, because possession movies to me teeter on like very like almost campy qualities and comedy, and this movie doesn't shy away from that too. So I just enjoy it. I enjoy that element, and certainly like all the post Exorcist movies really capitalized on the almost the campy quality of like possession in movies, and
like the voice, the makeup, everything. They really they do have fun with that for sure. They don't shy away from embracing the silliness of that, and that's awesome. I can't imagine a movie like this trying to take itself seriously.
And it wouldn't be a totally different movie, and not a movie I'd be into. But they do make where there's a movie coming out soon, like an exorcism movie, and it does not look like a movie I'd want to watch. So
yeah, I think I saw an ad for that.
All right. So I had, considering these movies are character based, like a lot of the comedy, a lot of the stuff comes because of their characters are kind of outlandish or whatever. Do you have a favorite character in the movie?
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Actually, let me pull them up just to make sure I'm giving them all fair consideration. I know I feel like I've talked about Judy a little bit and I've talked about Sal a little bit, but I think Angela is like kind of like a sneaky MVP in a way because before she turns, she's almost like a background character that they just talk about. I think Linnea Quigley gives a really fun performance. Actually, you sent me a retrospective to read about this, and I guess she wasn't fully on board with whether she wanted to be in this movie because she felt like there was like a little bit of an age difference with her in the cast, and like I don't sense that at all. I feel like she's great. Like she just gives a really fun performance and memorable performance, and just puts it all out there.
Yeah,
from her introduction in the convenience store like to the very end, and
very memorable introduction to a character.
Yeah, gosh, and I like Stooge too. I think Stooge is a pretty iconic character. I mean, like, hey, check him out. He's pretty.
He gets to say some wacky lines, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's one of his most famous lines? Is what, eat a bowl of fuck or something?
Yeah, exactly. Eat a bowl. Wait, yeah. I wonder if that was ad-libbed, but yeah, no, my favorite character is the old man with the apples. No, I'm just kidding. That's he was great though. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you know what? I'll say I don't know overall, but I could say this viewing, I was really rooting for Sal. He surprised me. I don't know why. I mean, I've seen this movie a million times, but I was kind of like when he shows up and he's such a jerk to her brother, and he clearly is like this guy that she's not interested in, and she has a date with someone else, but he's just persistent, and we all knew people like that, right?
Yeah.
But he just turns out to be such a hero. I mean, he sacrifices himself for, spoiler, trying to save her, and
people die in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of people die. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna say Sal's probably my MVP this time. But it'll probably change every viewing, honestly. Who's your favorite character?
So I wrote down two people. I wrote down Suzanne, Linnea Quigley as Suzanne, because she is certainly super memorable in this movie.
Super iconic.
And then I also wrote William Gallo as Sal Romero, because he's the character you feel the most bad about when he dies. Like, oh no. Even though he was a jerk in the beginning, like he had kind of an arc. Like he like you said, he sacrifices himself, Tina style.
Yeah, it's like you want him to make it out of this, right?
Yeah,
totally.
But it's a testament to the movie, because like I had like a long list of people I could have picked, and certainly Angela and all the characters. Like there were a lot of characters that I liked a lot. So that's a testament to Kevin Tenney and Joe Augustine's script. So
absolutely.
Do you have a favorite death? Is my other question.
Ooh, that's a good one. We see there's some pretty memorable, fun stuff in here. I think there's like one, maybe only one that was off screen, right? We see that one female character that just kind of gets thrown on the car.
Yeah, there was
Um,
one that was a little bit like, okay.
yeah, but there's the couple that gets killed by Stooge in the coffin, which was the guy's reaction is really funny in that. Like he's almost like he just saw Stooge like break his girlfriend's neck and he's like, no, Stooge, not now, not now. Like I think he said something like that, like while he's like slamming the coffin on his arm. There's the thumbs in the eyes, which always freaks me out in every movie. Gosh, I don't know about favorite though. Yeah, I guess I'll say that one off for now, but I have to think about it. What's your favorite?
That's what I wrote down. J, eye
Oh,
gouge. I mean,
right. It's
that's just
good.
like that's really gnarly because you really see the
Oh,
thumbs go in. It's
I
like,
hate
oh,
that. I hate that in any movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eye trauma really always gets me, and
Oh man, especially thumbs for some reason. I don't know.
yeah, there's not enough like I mean, certainly Italian movies and European movies were doing a lot of eye trauma, but
Oh
American
yeah.
movies weren't doing as much. So when you saw it in like a slasher or in this case like a supernatural slasher, like oh yeah, that was like oof, too
Yeah,
much for
no.
me.
Good,
But
good call.
I enjoy that. But there's a lot of good ones in it. So that's
Yeah, we could have even said the apples, the razor blade
need
apple.
that too. All right. So I mentioned the box office $3.1 million. Just to let you know what was playing at the time when I went to go see this in the theater. Spike of Bensonhurst, A Cry in the Dark, Scrooged. Already mentioned Full Moon and Blue Water, Ernest Save Christmas. Fresh Horses. I remember Fresh Horses was also playing in the same theater when I went to see it. Land Before Time, Cocoon the Return. Cocoon the Return was the movie that for some reason that month that in December I kept going to see it over and over. Like I was cut out of school and go see Cocoon the Return. I don't know why.
That's
It was
funny,
comforting.
yeah.
I haven't seen it in like 30 years. The Accused, Oliver and Company, Twice Dead was in theaters.
Well, that's a good one.
Child's Play, They Live had come out not that long that month too, I think. High
Awesome.
Spirits, Iron Eagle 2, Claire's Heart, Hannah's War, 1969, The Last Temptation of Christ, Married to the Mob, Wings of Desire, Things Change, Everyone's All American, Mystic Pizza, The Thin Blue Line, The Good Mother, Alienation, Crossing Delancey, Bird, Another Woman, and Madame Souska.
Nice.
All playing.
Nice.
A lot of horror movies like in November. Like again, we mentioned this movie. What was it? Child's Play,
Yeah. Twice Dead, yeah.
and Twice Dead, and They Live all came out. Like that's a big month for horror.
I feel like
November.
Twice Dead it has some Night of the Demons vibes to it too. That's kind of
true.
good,
I don't
like,
have that movie in my collection, so it's kind of a hole there. But I need to
it's
see
a
that
fun
one.
one. Yeah. No, so that's a lot of good variety for the movie going experience. I missed
All right,
those days.
so let's get into part 2, which had a very limited theatrical. So we know it mostly from video, but we're going to play the VHS trailer for those who want to listen to that or see that. Here it is.
For too long, your nights have been empty. You've waited alone in the dark for the very last time. Angela is inviting you back to Hull House.
Oh, Angela, your party guests are here.
To celebrate her homecoming party. And raise a little hell. Night of the Demons 2.
The teenagers from St. Rita's Academy think it would be killer to party at a haunted house, and they're right. Bad girl Shelly and her boyfriend have some special party games planned, but when Angela, the hostess from hell, unleashes her own brand of trick-or-treat, teen lust quickly turns to sheer terror. When the kids escape to a church dance, they think they've got it made. But the real battle is just beginning because Angela is summoning her army of teen demons for a blood-curdling contest between the priests and the princesses of darkness in the supernatural extravaganza of eye-popping effects and head-turning terror. Let's see, back of the Republic Pictures VHS box.
That's good.
Beautiful. I always love the Republic boxes. I knew I was in for some fun at the video store. Anytime I would pick up a VHS box, it was Republic Pictures. Certainly this era of the 90s Republic Pictures horror movies. They were fun.
Absolutely.
To go into. All right, so yeah, they this, like I mentioned, had a theatrical, but it was small, very small. I'm not sure exactly why. It was 94. That's the problem.
Yeah.
This came out in 94, which was not a great time for theatrical horror. Even though it was like 6 years later. Yeah, things changed with horror in the 90s. There was a lot of things. The home video market certainly were pumping a lot of things out for the home video shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So you were seeing a lot of these sequels pop up. On, like, you were seeing Leprechauns, you were seeing Children of the Corns, you were seeing all these like sequels being made to these movies for the home video market, and certainly Night of the Demons 2 and 3 benefited from the home video market by getting these releases.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so it was meant to be really that, but it was, but you know, they thought it was good enough to get a theatrical, so they gave it a small theatrical. Unfortunately, the money wasn't there to like really push it further, but Night of the Demons 2 came out in theaters, and it was directed this time by Brian Trenchard Smith, who was a Brit who made some good Australian exploitation films like Dead End Drive-In and BMX Bandits and Turkey Shoot.
Those, yeah.
The Man from Hong Kong, The Quest, which was a good kids movie with Elliot from E.T.
That's right, yeah.
Then he did like Leprechaun 3 and 4. And,
I was just about to mention that when you said Leprechaun sequels. I was like, there's some shared DNA here, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, his career kind of took a turn a bit in the 90s with these direct-to-video almost sequels. But I don't think it really changed a lot for him in terms of what he was trying to do with the movies. Like, he injected a lot of entertainment into them.
For sure.
He kind of knew what they were and wasn't afraid to like give you the goods for what these kinds of movies are. And that's what his modus operandi was to make a lot of fun for you. And I think that's what he does in these movies. Certainly he does with Night of the Demons 2.
Right.
I'm gonna say. Now I only saw this movie once before in my life, before recently.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is interesting because I remember enjoying it a lot on home video when I picked up that video box. But for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't return to it. And it was this time period in the 90s where I wasn't going back to these movies that often. I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I didn't buy the VHS. I should have, because I feel like I would have watched a lot more. It was like a certain point after like 92, 93, I wasn't getting a lot of like the new video VHS releases. I was collecting Laserdiscs of more mainstream films.
Movies, right?
Yeah, and 80s movies, and like whatever was new in 93 or 94, I was getting like the Laserdiscs of those movies.
Right. Yeah.
So I wasn't gravitating towards like the more direct to video VHS titles as much, or at least not returning back to them, which I should have, because there's some gems there.
Like, they'd be fun rentals, but you didn't have that same attachment, right? As
right.
Like these. Yeah.
I kind of regret that, because I finally got to my like Olive Pictures put out that Blu-ray there, and I finally opened it. It was still sealed. I'm like, oh my god! Since I bought this thing like I don't know how many years ago now, 5 years ago, whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, I got to find a good reason to rewatch Night of the Demons 2. And that's maybe the impetus of this podcast, is really to watch Night of the Demons 2 and 3.
Which is a good impetus. It's a good impetus, honestly.
Halloween, and then like got to rewatch Night of the Demons 2. It's been so long. And man, I had so much fun revisiting it. I had so much fun that I rewatched it again. Like,
oh, nice.
Because I'm like, this movie is exactly what I want for a sequel to give you what you want that works in the first movie, then kind of like add a little bit extra to it and give you like another kind of almost like a silly point of view, or like a almost like a meta, be more aware of itself kind of thing. And I shouldn't say that word meta anymore. It's getting old fast, but
yeah,
it
no,
kinda,
but I get what you're saying.
It really knows what it is, and it's not afraid to go there. It's really
self-aware, but
very
it's without being a
self-aware.
parody. Total
Yeah,
parody.
it's not a parody, but it is.
Gets close. It
gets very close. There's
with
definitely parodies to like other movies, but I don't know. It's blended in this movie in a way that makes total sense for what it's doing. It's giving you that sheer entertainment that you want, and I don't know. I just had so much fun revisiting it these 2 times, and actually 3 times because I actually listened to the commentary too with Brian Trenchard Smith. It's interesting listening to both of the commentaries because the first movie has a commentary, has 2 tracks, but the track I listened to was like the director and other people talking about the movie, the writer. But it's almost like a jokey kind of like tone to it, and like commenting on the boobs and stuff. The second commentary, he's like a Brit and he's like a great accent. I'm like, oh man, I can listen to this guy talk all day.
Yeah,
he's like very measured, but he has almost like but also a sense of humor. And it's a technical commentary too, so he's like really explaining why his motivations behind the scenes and the shots.
I listen to that now.
I'm like, wow, this is actually a really informative commentary for Night of Demons 2, but also entertaining at the same time. Like, I walked away with that commentary. I like this movie even more now because I really respect what he was trying to do with it, and his point of view certainly came across what he was injecting to it.
Right. I could see that. I know he didn't want to just do a total rehash.
Yeah, and he
put his own spin on it for sure.
It is and it isn't, because it's like it starts off there, but then it's a reason to get back into Hull House, but also like branch out into like even the box mentions, like it's like the horror goes to this Catholic boarding school type place.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I like that it does that. Like, okay, it follows it around. It's like what a sequel should do. Like Poltergeist 2 does that, right? Where the evil, like they take it follows them, right? Insidious there's good examples of where the evil, like it's not just like in the house, it goes with the characters,
right? Like moving isn't gonna save you necessarily,
right? And this one does that, so it has bold enough to do that, but then of course it has to go back to the house at some point. But I enjoyed that it opens up the world of Night of the Demons a bit more, and
the way they do it is clever too, with like the evil getting out through the stick of lipstick.
Yeah, this lipstick, which is like a running theme of these 3 movies, which is fun, and I kind of like that it was there and I'm not forgotten. Yeah, so it lives and dies, this movie, on what the director's choices, but also the characters. Like, again, setting up more fun characters when a sequel probably sometimes doesn't do. I mean, we know we love the characters in a lot of the Friday 13 movies, but then like you start to see other franchises and like, not as fun. They're kind of like standard. This one, no. This one, the characters are fun. Like you got again, we mentioned the nun, Sister Gloria, played by Cynthia Rhodes, in a very memorable performance. First, she's like, okay, that nun that rules with an iron fist, and like she's not going to let these kids get away with anything. But then you see more of her, and like more of her is revealed, and it's like, oh, she's actually having fun, the actor, with this role.
Oh, definitely,
and allowed to like play, and you really get that, and in really fun ways, and ways you would never imagine in a this kind of movie, to let this like nun character really like have fun, like even more so than some of the teenage characters, which is great.
Yeah, no, and then didn't I read, it might have been the thing you sent, that She was the second choice, and they were gonna cast John Travolta's sister, whose name I'm blanking
Oh,
on.
yeah, Ellen Travolta. That's right. Yeah.
Right, yeah. No, that's I think she was perfect. I can't even imagine anyone else in that role. That's a
No, I mean,
very fun, memorable character. But I do have a question for you.
yeah.
And maybe I just want to make sure I wasn't imagining things because of where this movie ends. She was beheaded at one point, right?
I had a like we had like it was like a like the what the fuck moment of the first movie with the lipstick. Here the what the fuck moment in this movie is like she's sort of beheaded, but then like also maybe like she like somehow shrunk her head into her habit. Like
Oh,
what?
maybe
I
I
don't
wasn't
know.
sure.
It's a little unclear. The
I'm
commentary
gonna
didn't
watch
really
that
mention
again.
that.
Because that was funny. Like, yeah, I wasn't 100% sure what happened there. But I think there's a bigger what the fuck moment in this one, but we'll get to
There's
that too.
probably a couple of this one, yeah.
Yeah.
I said Cynthia Rhodes. I didn't mean to say Cynthia Rhodes. Jennifer Rhodes. Sorry, you're
Oh,
not Dirty
right,
Dancing, but you're
right.
dancing in this movie too because Angela's back and she's dancing again.
He gets another dance number. Yeah, absolutely.
um, I love that too. Like you're gonna cast her again, like she's gonna dance. I think Angela's fun to watch again too. So I enjoy every aspect of this movie. I have no critique, nothing bad to say about it, which is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Which is always good to have when you're watching a horror movie. Um, I love the super soakers in this movie.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Very 90s. This is awesome. I
Very,
love that.
it's so you're in the '90s. You're watching a movie where characters are offing other characters with super soakers.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, there's questionable CGI.
Yeah.
But I
Not
don't care. It's not enough in a
no.
way that's like, oh, it's gonna ruin the movie for me. It's fun,
Yeah, they take it to another level later.
certainly.
Yeah.
How about for you? What did Night of the Demons do for you?
Right. So I bought that all the films released before I begrudgingly upgraded to Blu-ray. So I have the DVD because they were doing both. They were offering both back then, which was cool. I really appreciated that. That was something that a lot of those labels weren't doing back then. So I do have that DVD somewhere. I'm gonna definitely listen to that commentary track. I actually bought the 88 films release for this too once because I noticed that they cropped the cover art too much on the Olive Films one, which is such a weird
Yeah, yeah.
OCD thing to do. But like, I think I saw the VHS cover or something once, and I was like, wait a second. It's like such a random pet peeve to have, but whatever. It's I like all the films. I have a lot of their releases. But this time because I didn't have Night of the Demons 3, I bought this trilogy DVD
Oh, cool.
off of this seller I've used a bunch of times from Germany. He just had it on his eBay, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I didn't bother going through my garage to find the other ones, but you know what? I feel like it was a little bit of a grainier transfer, and I kind of like that. Like, I don't know what it is. It kind of took me back a little bit. To come to think of it, I watched all three of these in kind of older transfers, which is weird, but I don't know. I'm not a very good cinephile, but transfer aside, I mean, God, like love this movie. It's a lot of fun. I'm tempted to ask you, and we can get back to this, but I would have never thought this before. I'm tempted to ask you what your rankings are of these movies, and maybe we could get to that
Oh
later.
yeah, well she did at the end, yeah.
Yeah, but oh yeah, because of course, we're both gonna say number three probably.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
obviously,
kidding.
obviously.
No, but
The remake.
I love this a lot, and I always knew it was a great sequel, but it wasn't until I watched it so close to part one that I realized, like, oh, you know what? That's not like it wouldn't be a crazy opinion to say you like this more if someone did, you know.
Mhm.
So we could get to that for sure, but I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, I'm a Brian Trenchard Smith fan. BMX Bandits is a movie that is like weirdly like special to me. I don't know why. I just kind of love it. It's like I don't know what it is. There's something about like the whole like Australia vibes of it, and like just it gives it like a special flavor that I think we were missing a little bit here
Yeah.
in our childhood movies, which we had plenty of good ones, don't get me wrong, but it kind of elevated it on a different level, and was really.
The world changed when Nicole Kidman lost her big frizzy curly hair.
I'm with you 100%. 100%. This and Wave Rider are still my favorite Nicole Kidman movies because they're so fun. But back to Night of the Demons too. I'm saying this like we're talking about BMX Bandits, but no, back to Night of the Demons too.
Talk about that too.
I think that Brian Trenchard Smith was a really good choice to helm this movie. I think that it part of me wishes that it was Kevin Tenney because he got to do Witchport too. And I like that those were kind of his babies, and then Night of the Demons, it would have been cool if he did Night of the Demons too also. I guess he butted heads with like the studio and like while making Witchport 2, so he wasn't even offered Night of the Demons 2 from what I read.
That's right.
And part of me thinks that's a shame, but if he had been, like, who knows what kind of movie we would have gotten. So I'm very happy with what we got. Like I said, I love Brian Trenchard Smith anyways. I'm a big fan of this group of characters. Like you said, I think it's really fun. I think it does something again where it subverts expectations, because you have this group of characters and then you see this group of girls in particular who, oh, interesting, we were just talking about equal opportunity nudity and stuff. There's guys watching these girls with binoculars, and they're practically naked too, while the girls are practically naked. So hey, they found a way to do it. But there's this cast of these like beautiful girls, this like main group that they follow, that two of them are really mean to like this mouse character who, spoiler alert, is Angela's sister, which is such a sequel thing. Maybe they got that from the John Carpenter sequel script writing. Yeah. But it's fun, it's fine, and they're like really mean to her. And then they do something weird where like suddenly like the Christine Taylor's character, who Christine Taylor, of course, most people know as Mrs. Ben Stiller, I think, right? Am I right? But I know her as Melody from a show called Hey Dude that was on Nickelodeon back in the day, and I had a huge crush on her. So I always remembered her being in this, and that was like the one kind of person I would remember, just other than, of course, Angela being back. But just because it was cool to see like someone cross over into the horror genre that I was a fan of. But yeah, like they do this interesting thing where I remember the first time I saw this, I almost thought they were gonna do like a clever thing where like they switch who the final girl was gonna be, because suddenly the girl that you thought was gonna be the final girl was like having sex somewhere off in Hull House, and I was like, oh, about to die probably, and like I remember I kind of went through that, like thinking, maybe even they were going to change like who the final couple was, if not final girl, because they even turned this like jock character that was so kind of unlikable and obnoxious, they kind of made him a little more sympathetic too, and like paired him with her. So it was weird because you had these characters that were like kind of bullies, taking a turn and becoming a little bit nicer or whatever, or just showing more depth, or not looking as bad in comparison to other characters who were introduced or whatever. So I don't know. I thought that was clever. It did kind of, it does, I mean, now I've seen it a few times, but I remember thinking that I kind of thought maybe she was going to be the final girl or whatever, and she does survive in a clever way anyway. So the guy she was with, not so much. There's a lot of beheadings in this movie. That was one thing that I noticed this viewing. I was like, I don't remember there being this many beheadings, but hey, like, go to town. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's a lot of fun. Of course, Angela's back. And she kind of hams it up a little bit more here. I mean, I feel like she got to show like a lot of personality anyways in the first one, like once she turned, but this time I feel like they're almost embracing like she's gonna be our Freddy or whatever, our Freddy Krueger, which
It feels like that, yeah, for sure.
yeah. And I don't know. I guess even tying in like a family member as like a character who kind of fits that mold too is something they started doing later with Freddy, I guess. But yeah, so the tone of this movie is a lot of fun. The what the fuck moment to me is still like the death by boobs, which is
boob hands.
Yeah, boob hands CGI.
That's crazy.
Which is such a trip every time.
Well done, actually, too.
Yeah, like it's just a real like what the fuck moment, which is I like that it kind of went back to boobs because that was like the what the fuck moment of the first one with the lipstick. So I don't know what that would that be normal for someone to find a stick of lipstick in that creepy house and take it with them and want to put it on and so
yeah. My wife's like, does she want herpes or like some weird like
yeah
you don't do it like women like women don't like put strange lipstick on. Like they don't do that.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't
but
think
that's like,
so.
oh, the movie's like, yeah, obviously.
It kind of goes to what the fuck moment with that too, where the lipstick kind of goes somewhere very Evil Dead-ish, I'll say, like the Evil Dead tree attack scene, for lack of a better term.
They really get mileage of this lipstick in this movie.
for sure. But yeah, like it's just a fun movie. I feel like it's different. I should mention I actually watched these in reverse order.
Okay, cool.
I wanted to end on a high note.
That's smart.
So I've been doing that like a little more recently. Like I don't remember what else I did it with, but that's just like something I make a point to do now. And I started with the remake actually, which I'm not sure if we're gonna talk about or not. But
we could briefly touch on it at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, if I suffered through it, I appreciate that. but I kind of went backwards, and when I was like building up to number one, which again I love, but like I even having seen this before, it kind of blew me away like a little bit. I was just like, this movie is just so much fun. Like it's just there should be more movies like this out there. And I think it's a good example of why 90s horror gets a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't that there weren't great movies out there. They were just a little bit harder to find, maybe. They weren't like as big a hits. And this is one of them, this would be another party movie, absolutely. And I mean that in both terms. Like, I mean, they have a fun party going on.
Another Halloween dance party. Like,
exactly. And it would also be a fun movie to like watch with a group of people. Like, it's just, yeah. So, yeah, big thumbs up for me.
Well, you're not the only one to give it big thumbs up. Because Kevin Thomas of the LA Times, his review, I'm going to read it. Night of Demons 2 is a smart, amusing horror picture boasting a capable cast composed primarily of promising and attractive young actors and first-rate special effects. If you saw the 1988 original, you may recall that a young woman named Angela and her friends suffered a terrible fate while spending Halloween night in a derelict old house. You can't keep a demon down when box office dictates an eventual sequel. So Angela, once again, Amelia Kinkaide, who became possessed by a supernatural force of evil, is back with a vengeance. She's out to claim her younger sister, Merle Kennedy, a shy misfit at a posh Catholic prep school. She'll make her move at the same old house again on Halloween. To his credit, writer Joe Augustine, with an assist on the story from James Penzie, hasn't come up with a mere repeat of the original, which was basically a rudimentary, through certainly effective traditional tale, though certainly effective traditional tale of young people getting more than they bargained for when they break into a spooky abandoned residence. Most of the action in Demons 2 takes place at the school, although, of course, we return to the scary Hull House. In reality, the once meticulously maintained turn-of-the-century Bishop residence on West Adams and Menlo Avenue. The film begins as a teen comedy, sexy and rambunctious, with the students forever defying the strict, puritanical but caring Sister Gloria, Jennifer Rhodes. However, it definitely evolves into a full-scale struggle between the forces of good and evil, with Sister Gloria emerging as the veritable ninja nun, as formidable ninja nun, as formidable in spirit and in dueling with the devil's emissary.
Oh, that's good.
A sharp, versatile actress, Rhodes dominates a large ensemble cast under the swift, stylish direction of Brian Trenchard Smith. This is Kevin Thomas, guys. He's a really big mainstream critic.
Yes.
Although modestly budgeted, the darkly, continuing on the next page, gleaming Night of the Demons looks as good as its young actors, boasting superior production design, camera work, and makeup effects created by Steve Johnson, who between the two Demons films picked up an Oscar for his work on The Abyss. So yeah, he actually really enjoyed this movie.
That's surprising from a mainstream critic.
Yeah, which is like at the time these movies were like dismissed by mainstream critics. They hated them. They felt contempt for having to review them. Sometimes they didn't bother even watching the movies and review them. They just like really hated them. Obviously, Siskel and Ebert were like leading the way in that stuff. But right. Yeah, Kevin Thomas was really like into it, and it's a testament to the film because it could have easily been a direct-to-video sequel that time forgot, but I think because it was given a little bit of a chance with that California small theatrical release, mainstream critics were able to see it and like picked up. Okay, this is actually a good movie.
That's cool.
for what it's trying to do, which is nice. Yeah, it's got everything you wanted, like in these movies. It's got boobs again. But it's got like male nudity too, which is fun. My wife mentioned like, oh, there's like a lot of girls walking around like in these movies with boobs hanging out at school when they would never do that. They would never do that even in their dorm room.
Yeah, but that's like every 80s slasher too.
But every 80s movie, yeah, but like then she's like, oh, the guys are doing it too. So obviously, obviously that they're just having fun with that, which is the spirit of these movies. Christine Taylor, I love the scene where she's referred to as Marcia.
Yes, yeah.
Like, hey, Marcia.
Right.
This is like a full year before she actually played Marcia Brady in the Brady Bunch movie.
I forgot to look it up because I was wondering if it was a reference to that.
No, it's because she actually just looked like Marcia Brady. Like that was her look. So like someone's like, hey, Marcia.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So she was obviously born to play Marcia Brady.
And did a good job in that too, from what I remember.
Yeah, she's actually a highlight in those movies. Like you can see why she was like the one actor to really go on to a career past the Brady Bunch movies, because she's also the actress who played Jan too. She was really good. Right. But yeah, it's like a fun movie. It's like super fun, and I had so much fun. I had a real blast. I wasn't expecting to be as good as it is, but it was that and more. So thank you, Night of the Demons 2. Thank you, Brian Trenchard Smith. I'm gonna really it helped that John Augustine wrote the script, so there was some continuity there. But I think Brian Trenchard Smith is the reason why it probably took it to the next level. And
his touch is there for sure.
It is there for sure. So thank you for doing that. All right, we're gonna get into part 3 soon. We're gonna take a little break, put a little something here for that, but we'll get into the next one soon.
Ants, what the fuck are you doing over there?
Blessed be the sinners, for the day of atonement is at hand.
Say what?
to your crimson orifice in holy remembrance and scarlet bliss.
Whoa, Sal, easy, man. A little jumpy, huh? Yeah. Well, all right. Now the party's back. And so is Stoogie.
Hey, careful, man. She's acting really fucking weird.
Don't worry, Sal. It ain't the weird ones you gotta watch out for. God, didn't your mom teach you nothing about women?
And we're back. Hope you enjoyed that. Little lighting change. You're feeling a little bit blue now that we're getting into the later movies. let's hear 3.
Right. No, I love the lighting, man. Whoever's listening to the audio version of this, check out Meep's lighting effects. They are pretty cool.
Welcome to Hull House.
According to the legend, it's not haunted. It's possessed. Gateway to hell.
Where this Halloween, Angela's planning one hell of a party. A night filled with tricks and deadly treats. Of the Demons 3.
Yeah, Night of the Demons 3. Let's go ahead and read the Republic Pictures VHS description here. It's Halloween. The gates of Hull House have creaked open once again, and Angela is waiting patiently for her treats. When a group of teens take refuge in the foreboding old funeral home to escape the law, they soon realize their grave error. As I'm reading this, I'm trying to remember, was it 2 or 3 that opens with the I guess missionaries or whoever going door to door?
Oh my gosh, I can't remember now. I think it was 2.
Okay. For some reason, I just blanked right now. I was like, was that this one? Because we didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about deaths and stuff either with that one.
Oh, right. Going back to the second movie, what did I forget? The second movie, my favorite death. I think I wrote down Harry, played by Robert Jane, because he sacrificed himself. I thought that was kind of like unexpected.
Yeah.
And he thought he was going to be like a final boy or something.
Yeah, because he was kind of the one guy who was ahead of what was happening. Usually those characters are, the hero.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by his death, so maybe I wrote down. And of course, Boob Hands was surprising too. But
Yeah, Boob Hands is probably the winner, but there was so many beheadings. I'm trying to trying to remember. But Super Soaker deaths too. A lot of fun stuff for sure. Yeah, definitely.
and then
How about favorite character? We were doing favorite character.
favorite character. I mean, obviously, Sister Gloria, played by Jennifer
Right.
Rhodes, has to be the first. But this movie had a lot of good characters too. I think even Zoe Trilling as Shirley. I mean, what a terrible name for a mean girl as Shirley, but I think she's so memorable and like she is like takes like such relish in her like
She
meanness.
does. And I didn't, it's like you almost don't realize how mean she is. You almost think Christine Taylor is going to be like the leader or whatever of like the
Yeah.
teen group of girls, but she's like a whole other level once they get to the house. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it's her performance. Like she just adds like some charm about her. Like something about her is like she's like having fun. You could sense playing this role, like
No,
really adds to it.
she's a great, I don't know if this term is the right term or not, but like bitchy
Yeah.
character, which
Yeah,
is
she is. I mean,
fantastic.
it might not be the PC term, but she certainly is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, good call with all of those. Yeah, no, I think I think I might have saw your post about the nun whose name I just blanked on again, sister
Oh,
Gloria, is it?
no, yeah, Sister Gloria. Yeah.
Yeah, Sister Gloria. So like I was just like, oh yeah, that was a really fun character. So maybe I was tuned in on her a little bit more this time. But yeah, she definitely got to shine a lot.
I mean, she got a Rambo like getting ready montage, so like
And she brought like the yardstick.
and the yardstick, like yeah, the yardstick she was fencing with at some point, like
Yeah, fun characters
amazing.
for sure. This it definitely went a little sillier, but the first one was so silly that it doesn't feel like a, jump. So
Yeah.
it was nice. Yeah, well, so now I guess jumping ahead to part three, 97. I mean, this is a smaller gap than one and two, right? I mean, just a few years later. Um, Man, it just feels like a completely different era though, doesn't it?
It
Like as
does,
far
yeah.
as even the opening credits, they feature what I can only describe as like AOL like screensaver like special effects.
They do feel screensaver, you're right.
Yeah, like it's just kind of like, oh wow, like did that much change, So like yeah, it's just a different vibe. And I don't know. I was surprised to learn that Kevin Tenney wrote the screenplay for this, but I also believe he wasn't happy with the end product. So who knows, what changed in between. Um, it's definitely not on par with the first two. I guess spoiler alert to our rankings. Like
Yeah.
it's just not as good a movie. There's deficiencies to that like attention to detail and care that was put in those first two. There's the special effects, while they're not like terrible, they definitely do feel a lot more like direct to video. um yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's a lesser movie,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But we did get Amelia Kinkaide back again, to back in this role that she started almost 10 years ago at this point, and which is fun. I don't know. I mean, she was definitely game for some interesting stuff in this movie, like
Oh
including
yes.
the gun and some other things.
That was a first for me in the movie.
Yeah, so I don't know. I probably hadn't seen this since the late 90s. If I'd seen it at all, I definitely didn't own it. But I feel like I'd probably seen it at some point. Um, but having said that, like I feel like I might have even actively avoided it. And it wasn't that bad, if that's fair. Like I didn't like, again, I watched these backwards, right? So kind of coming off of the remake and getting into like what I thought was going to be, something terrible. Like I didn't have the worst time with this. it's got some creativity in there. There's some fun stuff with like Halloween costumes where you have like a character who's dressed like a cat, kind of becomes like a demonic like cat lady. You have like a character who has a sock on her hand for some reason for way longer than she needed to. That's like supposed to be like a snake. She then becomes like a snake. It kind of gave me the Curse 2 vibes, the bite. And there's some like fun ideas in there. This time the group is actually just hiding out in Hull House. They just got into like a shootout at a liquor store where things just escalated. I mean, they were like the main group of kids were like looking for trouble anyways in this, but like things like escalated definitely because of like a jerk cashier and some other stuff. But so I don't know, it's just a different kind of vibe to it from the start. So you have like a different kind of group, and they're almost being held hostage there, like it's not a party, right? So
yeah,
it goes different places with that. But like I said, the stuff they do with the costumes is fun. Like one of them has kind of like a devil mask anyways that kind of becomes their head. And I don't know, it's got a few likable characters in there still. There was like this lieutenant character that was barely in it, but I liked him a lot, like this old cop who kind of figured from watching the surveillance video from the convenience store, kind of figured out what might have happened, and wanted to kind of de-escalate things before more people, any more blood was shed, I should say.
Yeah, just like what cops do all the time now. They want to de-escalate.
Yeah, no, but it's nice because it showed the other cops definitely didn't want to do that, and this guy did. Like, and he was even like he went, like he was supposed to like have retired at midnight or whatever, and like went above and beyond, which is such a random funny thing to put in there. But so I don't know, the one thing I wrote down here is that that kind of took me back to that era, because I think I would have been like a freshman in high school probably at this point, or maybe even, well, no, I mean, yeah, it was like end of 8th grade to beginning of freshman year. Like those mama jokes were definitely a thing. And I'd kind of forgotten about them until I watched this movie. I was like, so we got mama jokes in Night of the Demons 3. And I don't know, maybe we should bring those back, those simpler times for America.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's
I don't
strange.
know. It's so random, but it is very, very 97. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's it's passable. I've seen worse. I've seen worse this month, as we discussed.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So it still has a little bit of charm to it, probably only because of the vintage, because it's a movie from 97 as opposed to if this was made now. Because other than that, it's really nothing special. And I feel a little guilty now because I forgot who directed this one. I wrote down who
Jim Kaufman.
Oh, okay, that's not ringing a bell. Yeah,
not memorable.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Night of the Demons 3?
Very similar thoughts to you. Like, it's not the worst movie I've seen.
That's so sad. That's like all we can say.
It's not terrible, but it's also a big step down in terms of the high of part 2,
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing it that way, it's like, oh, it's not, this is not good. This is what you would expect a Night of the Demons 2 to turn out to be, right? It would have been like this direct-to-video cheap thing.
Because it is very derivative too. Like, it doesn't make those changes that that part 2 did to the first one. It's very much closer to that first formula. So that could have been what we got. Yeah,
it's like they were making this an excuse to have some kids in a house and then like bad shit happens kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not as inventive. Characters not as memorable.
No.
The house is not the same. It's shot in Canada. It's a completely different house. It looks nice. which
I
doesn't.
forgot to mention that actually. I used to work on Grand and Adams, which wasn't too far from the original house, if I'm not mistaken, in South Central LA. And that is a pretty rough area. So yeah, no, that's right. It's a completely very Canadian, like you said, production.
Very Canadian,
Yeah.
like a nice looking house. Like this is less scary. It's lit in a way that's like not scary, and it looks so strange. It
No.
was just strange.
Yeah, that's right. They comment on that several times, even like why I thought this house is supposed to be abandoned, and it's just like a nice mansion for some reason.
It's odd. It's like it's not set up properly enough for you to like get why it looks like that way. Like if they made it,
No.
went out of their way to explain that, okay, Angela, like did something to the house and it made it look this way.
Yeah, the
We
house
restored it
is
to its former glory, but it's not really
exactly
set up that way. It looks like a totally different house because it's not.
totally. No, well said.
And clearly, made of the cheap, and yeah, they just got a location and they went, and then this is it. This is what we're doing. Yeah, I don't know. It's like the plot, getting them into the house, like the kids, and with this thing gone wrong situation, which kind of recalls a little bit of it. Reservoir Dogs, with the guy bleeding out in the car, and then like having to
Right,
go to one
yeah.
location. It kind of plays out a little bit like that, like it's
That's
ripping
funny. I
off of
didn't
Reservoir
even think of
Dogs.
that. Yeah.
Uh, just a little strange. That's what the 90s ness of it. That's what they were doing back then, right?
Right, yeah.
Having this
Everyone was,
crime story
yeah.
angle to it. I don't know. It wasn't like what this movie needed.
No, it didn't. Especially because it was done in such a weird way too, where like the cast of the group of characters that we got were already like at such odds with each other. Like it was like
Yeah,
it like kind of
exactly.
took away that fun part of the other movies where things kind of escalated and
Yeah.
took twists and turns. This movie starts off with like one of the characters pulling a knife on another character, and they're all just kind of jerks to each other.
It's like that's like a sign of what movies are to come, right? Like what they were going to do with characters in movies, which they still do to this day, right? They make them that's super not likable.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So that way they could justify killing them off. Like Halloween Ends, for example, everyone in that town is shitty.
What was that about? We didn't even touch on that. Like, what was up with that?
Yeah, like even the kid who dies, like shitty kid, so he has to die.
Oh man, what
marching band in this movie of like they're all very different kids, like from different places, and and they're all like shitty, so they have to die.
Yeah.
And then the adults,
they were supposed to be a marching band kids, right? That's why I thought when they first showed up. Because I was like, why are like the band nerds like like they're supposed to be pretty cool, you would think.
They're like bullies and they're shitty. I'm like, everyone in Haddonfield is shitty, so they must die. I'm like, okay, man. That's not how you set up characters. I know you like them. You like what they've done in parts 1 and 2. Like you set up these characters that you like, and then they die, and like you feel bad. Like, but you walk away knowing like, okay, there were characters like that, and that was cool that they did that. Here nowadays, no, it's a little different.
Yeah, so weird though, right? No, you're sorry, that's a tangent for sure, but I don't get it because how did we go from having likable characters like even this series, like we said, the original group of kids, like even an obnoxious character like Stooge or Sal or whatever, like they're not so bad, like I kind of like all of them and wouldn't mind hanging out with all of them, and they're just kind of the teenagers, quote unquote.
Sure.
And small teenagers. Yeah, like I don't know what happened with the idea of just making this a teenage juvenile delinquent version of Reservoir Dogs. You're right, and showing
weird.
And
we could only blame writer Kevin Tenney, who also was the second unit director in this movie. So
I just can't get around that because Kevin Tenney is good. He's talented. We like him.
He claims a lot more was cut out of this movie to fix it. So who knows what it could have been.
Yeah, we'll wait for the.
But I have a feeling not much better. Honestly.
We'll wait for a producer's cut or a director's cut or something. Yeah.
One with more gun fellatio.
That is something, though. I
That
mean,
was the
you
what the
gotta,
fuck moment, I guess. In this
yeah, like
movie.
every one of these movies does have that what the fuck moment, and this one definitely had a good one for sure.
Is there a favorite character?
God, that's slim pickings
Yeah,
this time.
it is
Yeah,
very Slim
gosh.
Pickens.
I mean, you've got the two girls who weren't part of that group. I guess they're not too bad, but nah, not really. Maybe in this one, it's just Angela, right? I don't know.
That's what I wrote down. Angela, even though she doesn't look as good as she did in the first two movies, they changed her wardrobe. Something about it's like not as, the
Yeah,
continuity isn't there as well. And
yeah.
but
First
yeah,
two, it goes well together, despite having a bigger gap in between. Like it feels like the
yeah,
same character. This one, like if I read that she'd been recast or something, I almost went because again, I watched these backwards. I hadn't seen the other two yet, rewatched them yet. So like having not seen them for a while, like if I started watching this and was like, oh, is that a different actress that just looks a little bit like her? Because there's just something that's a little
yeah.
different.
They didn't get the wardrobe correct or something.
Yeah,
But
maybe it's like, hair, makeup. I don't know. It's just something's a little different there. That doesn't have that capture that vibe. But she has the best moments in this one.
yeah, and it's
Better than any other character.
and gratuitous Angela dancing. So that's what we want in these movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's
um,
her, and then it's the lieutenant probably for me, just because he's
yeah.
like the one. It was a fun trope to have the guy who's about to retire. But they took it like this silly place for sure.
Do you have a favorite death?
Gosh, that's tough. I'm trying to remember now if there was. I
Yeah,
feel like if I'm not mistaken, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't a lot of the deaths in this one off camera?
there were a few that were like off. Yeah, that weren't.
Like
Yeah,
you would see like something's about to happen, and then it
yeah.
looked like
Somebody, and
cut
also these
away.
movies, like characters die, but then they come back, right? Like they're
Right,
like
right.
possessed, and so that kind of throws it off too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, I guess I don't know. The gun fellatio ended with a tongue through the head, right? If am I right, or something
yeah.
like
There was a
that.
tongue through the. Yeah, she kisses him, and her tongue goes right through the head. Yeah,
I guess that'll be the one
that
for
was that was.
me.
I wrote that one down, but also I think I liked when Lieutenant Dewhurst, his heart is ripped out.
Oh yeah.
That was
That's right. I was trying to remember if he died or not. I was like, oh yeah, he did die, but then you're right, he gets his heart ripped out.
yeah.
It's
She's like,
like a
whoa, that's
very
harsh.
definitive
Guess he's not
death.
retiring.
Yeah, poor guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So so we just celebrated its 25th anniversary. It opened came out on video October 7th, 1987. So happy 25th anniversary. If is a general term. Here's
Yeah.
that Blu-ray that I show you, that bootleggy thingy. But that's
That's
cool.
cool. That looks good for a bootleg.
It's
Yeah.
like it's not like widescreen, but it's like it looks good actually. It looks like
Nice. No, very cool. Very cool.
they did a good job whoever did this with
Yeah, some bootlegs are better than others for
yeah,
sure.
because I'm sure it doesn't. Yeah, then part two. Here's that Olive Films Blu-ray
Very
with
cool.
the
Classic.
cropped. Yeah, they should have did a little better with the job of the artwork, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I think like they cut off one of her fingers or something that bugged me. Yeah.
How dare you? Respect Angela. I
No,
feel like,
very cool.
and this might be out of print, so
Yeah, I was gonna say all of them just kind of went away, right? They
yeah, I
were
think
good for a while.
they're evolved into Sandpiper is the new
Oh,
outfit,
okay. I didn't know
and they're
that.
just like releasing maybe like MGM titles, and then the Scream Factory, which has
Right.
this terrible, well, not terrible, but it's like lackluster work.
I like
But I
that
like the
artist.
original work.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that art, the original is iconic. Like your shirt, it's awesome. That artist that they used to use with those early Scream Factory releases, I actually like them like more than the new stuff they do. That one,
Yeah,
I want to say that's
that's a little better than
Nathan Thomas Milner or
yeah. This was better than probably the usual one.
yeah, like I really like those Halloween 2 and 3 ones they did like originally, but like something I don't know, somewhere along the way, like I feel like the floating heads and everything just kind of maybe it was cool at first because it was like different, but they just went too far into it, and then now they can't get like actors likeness rights, I think. So like every cover they do is like the back of someone's head or something,
Yeah.
which is just like, just put the original art, which it seems like that's what they're doing now, right, with 4Ks, but I don't collect 4Ks, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, the 4Ks that I've gotten so far have been doing that. So
Yeah, probably would have been fine doing that from the start, but I don't know. You know, we all went through a time where there was like maybe like 15 years or something with DVDs where we got the same movies re-released with like a different cover like a million times, you know. So
yeah.
maybe they were just trying to do something once these boutique labels started up, and I don't know. I appreciate it for
If
sure.
it's not,
Obviously, I'm
I
an
say
artwork guy. Yeah.
if it's not broke, don't fix
Yeah.
it.
That's exactly.
Is my but I do love like a lot of those German imports that you get with the artwork. It's really beautiful with really beautiful stuff. And like there's some companies that do a good job, like Fun City, for example. They do a really good job with
They're
that
pretty
commissioned artwork.
creative.
Yeah,
I
they're
like those.
creative and they
Yeah.
get good artists. So
No, that's cool. There's
yeah,
there's a place for it for sure, but some
yeah,
of them I don't know.
yeah.
They look like something you would see on like a t-shirt at Walmart or something. I don't that's
Yeah, that's the sad part about it.
yeah.
So that was Night of the Demons 3. There was a remake in 2010,
Right, let me get
October
my notes up.
October 15, 2010. Um released by E1 7 Arts Entertainment. Went direct to video. Was directed by Adam Girash. Written by him and his wife Jace Anderson. They wrote a bunch of movies together, but I don't remember a lot of them. I remember a lot of them being kind of not great.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't really into the remake when I first saw it. I thought it was kind of a pretty terrible movie.
You've seen it then. Okay.
I
I'm
saw it
surprised.
once before that I revisited it to make sure I was wrong. Like, oh, because I've heard like good like positive things about it. Like, oh, it's not as bad
Oh,
as
interesting.
like, oh, it's
Okay.
not that bad for a remake. I'm like, oh, okay,
All right.
I'll be the judge of that. And I rewatched to visit it. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of bad. I mean, it's not like
No, it's
it
not like
isn't
I
the
don't know.
worst remake. It isn't like The Fog or
Oh, I
there's
don't
some
think
really
it's
really bad
that
ones,
one.
but
Yeah.
it's also something kind of unpleasant at the same time. Not very super creative. It feels just kind of cheap, even though it was like the biggest budget of all these movies.
Oh, was it interesting?
Yeah, I think it cost $10 million. Considering it's a movie that's like set primarily in one location, right? Again, like a party, like a house in Louisiana.
Yeah, New Orleans, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so should be cheap. It's poorly edited, I think. There's a lot of like bad editing, bad
That's
modern
what,
editing at the time.
yeah,
They
yeah,
tried to
absolutely.
jazz it up or jizz it up. It's just not. I don't know. It's like it was like not vibing with me. Like the best part about it maybe is the soundtrack. Like I thought there was some good songs in there.
I think there's Concrete Blonde in there,
There's
right?
Concrete Blonde there, TSOL, 45 Grave. There was some like good music. But the movie itself like didn't justify its existence enough for me to enjoy.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, like I kind of had a similar experience. I remember watching it once and I remember like thinking like, wow, that was like terrible, but like in a watchable way, like kind of like a fun, like dumb movie just to,
Right.
put on or whatever. Um, and like I think part of that is the cast. There's like a lot of familiar faces in there. Like there's
Right.
like, Edward Furlong is kind of like the novelty, I feel like, in this because he didn't get as many roles, later on.
Sure.
And then you've got like Shannon Elizabeth, of course, and
Playing Angela this time.
yeah, which is so like not what I would think. And then like Tiffany Shepis is in this, which has got a small role, and then
Yeah.
Monica Keenan, who I forgot was in this, is actually like the final girl, like who's from like Freddy versus Jason and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like it's just like it's pretty forgettable though. Like it's I feel like it's strangely like as much as these movies are like like not like prude movies, like they all have like plenty of TNA and sex and stuff. Like this is somehow like the horniest like Night of the Demons movie, and it's like
Yeah.
done in like a gross way though, like
Yeah.
and, like it's like a lot of like they it's kind of reminded me of how I felt about the It Chapter One remake, not as far as the sex part of it, but just as far as like having to like up the ante, like feeling like you have to like you can't just have the like this I just keep I never even saw It Chapter Two, sorry, I should say that, but of the new one. But there was a scene in the chapter one where they had like the blood gushing out of the sink, and it just went like so like over the top, like next level, that like I was like almost like rolling my eyes or whatever. And like this was like that, like they couldn't just have like the lipstick like go into her nipple and disappear, like she had to like pull it out from somewhere else, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was like just
Import,
weird.
a lot of import taste stuff.
Yeah, and it wasn't, I don't know, like maybe they thought they were doing it in like a playful way or whatever, but it was just like gross, a lot of it. And
Yeah.
like the editing, I feel like and or just maybe directing style, whatever, is just such a turn off to me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so like jarring and like frenetic, and like I can't even think of the right word for it, but it's just not for me. And I feel like that was probably a thing, you know, like I feel like there was definitely an era around that time where there was a lot of movies that looked like that, and I probably missed a lot, or I'm forgetting a lot of them. But having not seen something like that for a while and watching this, it was like, man, like that's bad. Like that
Yeah.
is, it's just really like hyper, and I don't know, it's something else for sure. And then it's like it's so dumb that you don't even want to like point out stuff that doesn't make sense, because like they weren't too worried about it, you know. But there's a lot of that for sure. But yeah, I mean, as far as remakes from that era go, like, you know, I don't even remember a lot of them. I saw some. I know I saw Friday the 13th. I know I saw Nightmare on Elm Street. But the ones I actually enjoyed, like I actually enjoyed like the My Bloody Valentine, go figure, which I wouldn't expect. But this one is like maybe somewhere in between, because it doesn't like, I like that it doesn't take itself seriously. Like I appreciate that, but it's still just dumb and bad. Like it's not like a movie I'd want for my collection, for example.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Yeah.
but maybe just one of those like bottom of the barrel movies to put on around Halloween time if you really have to.
If you have to.
Yeah. You know, I'd rather
if you're completist, that's why we have to mention it here.
Yeah,
That's the only reason why we're mentioning it here. Then
exactly. And it doesn't, you know, it really, other than the name and Angela and all that, I mean, this is just, it doesn't vibe with the rest of the series.
No,
even less than 3, which already didn't.
Yeah, it was definitely a movie that wasn't going to launch a new trilogy. That's let's put it that way.
I will mention before I forget, Linnea Quigley has a cameo in this.
That's right.
At the very beginning.
That's like the moments, like where Linnea Quigley has a little cameo, and like Tiffany Shepis, and that's fun. And like even having Monica Keena is fun. But other than that, it's like yeah, they're just playing like getting their value, like Scream Queen value out of them. That's about it.
Yeah. No, I almost feel bad for some of the actors in this movie. Like even like Shannon Elizabeth and like the Edward Furlong, I kind of feel like, man, like that's kind of a low point for some of these actors that probably saw their careers playing out differently at some point.
Yeah, it is a little sad, a reminder, halcyon days.
Did this get a theatrical release?
No, it was meant to, but I guess it didn't.
Okay, I didn't remember.
Direct to DVD release, as far as I know. That's I have that. That's and also the retrospective mentions that too. It's only
Oh, okay, right.
Direct to video release. So
sounds about right.
So those are the Night of Demons movies. Shall we do our ranking then?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm curious.
I will rank them first.
Yes, please.
I will go. I would have said 1, 2, 3 usually. Like that's probably what I would have said like before reviewing these movies, but now I would go 2, 1, 3.
Man, that's
I mean, because 2 just like I don't know, I kept wanting to watch it. Like that says a lot. I watched the first one actually a couple times too, but the second one just like I can see myself rewatching the hell out of it over the years. So maybe
yeah,
every Halloween. So who knows?
it
We'll see.
probably benefits from like not getting as much attention all these years either, because it's almost like a new movie, you know, like a new discovery. Um I feel like when I watched, I'm telling you, I saw these backwards, right? So watching part 3 to 2, I was like, okay, obviously I like 2 more than 3, right? But while I was watching 2, I was wondering, I was like, am I gonna end up liking this more than 1 because I liked it so much? It was such a fun movie. I think, and again, this can change if you ask me tomorrow, but I think like by the end of rewatching part 1, I was kind of still like, you know, like part 1 is just special to me. And as much as I love 2 and as great as it is, I think part 1 still gets the slight edge. Um, but man, it's close. Like there's not a, you know, I think that that might even change over time, you know, but part 2 was the one that kind of came out of this rewatching of the trilogy as like, this movie needs more love. So
It
I'm
does,
really
yeah.
glad we're highlighting as much as we
Yeah.
are.
To me, it's like a perfect midnight movie. I feel like
Totally.
you
Oh,
could
it
put
should
it
totally be a
you
midnight
could
movie.
put it in theaters now, like as a midnight movie, and I think people would get a kick out of it. They
They would
would.
have a
It
blast.
doesn't feel
Yeah.
like too like it's 90s, but it's not enough where it's like it's so 90s that it's distracting. I think it's like play really
It's
pretty
90s
well
in a good way,
in a good way. Yeah,
as opposed to 3, which unfortunately kind of went 90s in a bad way.
yeah,
Yeah.
a little too 90s, and it's execution.
Yeah, no, those early 90s, honestly, they don't feel as different from the late 80s as a lot of people assume they do, I think.
It's
Like,
true.
other than some fashions and stuff like that, like, sure, like, they're essentially the same kind of movies, you know, a lot of them at least. So, I don't know. I was a big fan, though, for sure. I think I'm still gonna say 1, 2, 3, but it's close. It's close
Close.
for sure. And I had a feeling like it's so funny because as I was ranking them in my head, like that's why I brought it up. Even I was like, I have a feeling this one Meep is gonna like it even more than one.
Only one of them has
Yeah,
Jennifer Rhodes, and I feel like that performance just mainly takes it over the
it's
top
so
for me.
good. No, it's so good. You know, there was a movie that came out. I don't remember. It was like maybe the early 2000s called The Convent. Did you ever see that one? It's got
Yeah.
Adrian Barbeau in it.
Yep.
And like it's okay, like it's got some stuff I like in it and some stuff that I don't, you know, whatever, but it's okay. I feel like rewatching these, I wonder if it was heavily influenced by Night of the Demons too, because I feel like,
I can see that. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
I don't
definitely
know, I
that
felt like
vibe.
it was just missing that, like, you know, hardcore nut or something
Yeah.
like to come in and save the day. But it made me think of that movie for some random reason too, rewatching that. You know, there's been a lot of, like I was saying earlier, like Night of the Demons kind of kicked it off, but I feel like there's been a lot of knockoffs and stuff since then. And some are better than others or whatever, but it's almost become a genre of its own, like this like possession, like party movie kind of thing, like almost like a zombie movie or something or whatever. Like it's kind of become its own thing. And maybe that's what I just still love and appreciate about that first one too. I don't know, something special about it still. But no, I'm with you. It was fun watching all these, you know. This is a whole other franchise set around the Halloween season that doesn't get any attention every year after year. And it's not just because there hasn't been like any recent entries, like there weren't any new Halloween, you know, Michael Myers Halloween movies for a long time either. Well, no, I guess there were in between, but I just kind of forget about them. But like there hadn't been as many as you would think or whatever, and it's like that was still kind of in the conscience every October or whatever. And like,
Sure.
I don't know why isn't Night of the Demons, like these are awesome movies. They're great to watch this time of year. So yeah, no, I'm glad
absolutely.
we got to highlight them and give them some love for sure.
Yeah, we need more Angela in our lives.
Totally.
All right, well, this is fun. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube and listening wherever you're listening, on Patreon. Thank you for supporting the show, and tuning in. And I think I know I have one lined up for November, and I have an idea for one for December. So we're going to finish out 2022 for you guys soon. I know I have a retro movie love coming in November, a couple of things coming for sure. So we're not done yet for this year. Where can people reach you, Ara?
I'm still just kind of boring personal accounts right now, but I'm thinking of trying to get back in the game. We'll see. You could find me on
when
Instagram,
there's time, because there's kind of keep feeding like the internet is like, oh, could do that forever. Like
it's for sure. There's a lot of internet out there.
There's a lot. So yeah, you can reach me at Cinnamon to Meep on Instagram, or Retro Movie Love on Facebook, or personal account Michael Ferrari on Facebook.
I just noticed you weren't Meet Parker anymore. When was that?
Oh, that was like
it's probably been a while. Yeah,
I was testing it out under my other name, and then went back to my real name.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
I get tired of Facebook after a while, because I feel like Instagram is more me. So who knows?
Right. No, I hear you, buddy. Yeah, that's the social media is kind of you got to just take it in. I don't know. Yep. I don't know what the right dosage is.
Yeah, I know. Really,
yeah,
it's hard. Just I guess subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can find these videos. And
you guys definitely want to check out Meep's lighting too. I'm a fan. I like it for sure.
All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll be back for some more fun, maybe some more horror for the holidays. We'll see. Take care, good. Talk to you soon.
All right, Meep. Thanks again, bud. It was a pleasure.
Ciao for now.
Yeah, dig this.
I'll show you a hell of a time. Hell of a time.
Swing.
Why, sure we do.
Too bad. I bet you don't get many blowjobs.
En garde. Coupé. Coulé. Touché. Touché. Who is it?
It's Father Bob, sister.
Perry, you get over to the chapel
Where are you going?
to prepare